It is time.
It's time.
It is time.
It's the Money Show.
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 Makodimma Igbo. Let the conversation begin.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to the Money Show. Makodimma Igbo. Afam Chuka. Anya putasia. Anyị nkata ndị Igbo, Igbo na-edozi obodo, Igbo na-akwado ọganihu, Igbo nọ na mba niile, ekele eme unu. Ndị Enugu na-asị deje, ụfọdụ ndị Anambra na-asị nnọọ, ụfọdụ ndị Ebonyi na-asị ji ọkwa, ụfọdụ ndị Imo na-asị unu abịala, ụfọdụ ndị Abịa na-asị anyị abịawo. Daalụnụ, welcome to the Money Show. Thank you for joining us on time. It's like I say here every Saturday. Just in case you're here for the first time, the Money Show is a conversation for progressive Igbos, the natural organic. This is where we come and rub minds and share ideas and find solutions, practical, sustainable solutions to our collective problems as Igbo, anywhere, all over the world. And MONI is an acronym for Maka Odemma Ndi Igbo. That's what it's about. That's the only focus here. We do this every Saturday by 8 p.m. We run it for 3 hours plus. We try to peg it at 3 hours so that we can manage time off and we can spread on other places. As I'm speaking right now, we are live streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, on Kunie/media on YouTube. Just in case you have people around you who cannot join on Twitter, but they want to listen to the show, they can go to our YouTube channel and listen on the show. If you have people around you also who would like to listen, who are in your confinement, you can invite them to join you. It's here a speaker. This is like the modern radio now. So I don't ask I don't know the way it used to be. The idea is to reach our people. The idea is to spread a conversation. The idea is to build a community of natural the same thing, organic development, real issues, and look at how to solve them collectively and put in practical steps that will resolve some of our issues. I find here, they want to welcome. Upon actually joining in this conversation, feel free to request a mic. And once you request a mic, we have some rules that I'm going to introduce at some point on the show. Ground rules on how we do this conversation. And I just want to state it clearly that this doesn't discriminate. The Money Show doesn't discriminate. If you don't know how to speak Igbo, you can speak English. If you don't know how to speak English, you can speak Igbo. One day, so any of them too well. Good is here, good. Then I bought Igbo. It's too Igbo. So go Igbo. Like I'm saying, I'm so Igbo now, just so that it works for everybody. Because the ultimate aim is for us to have a conversation. The ultimate aim is for us to understand ourselves. The ultimate aim is for us to communicate and spread something positive, something that will reach other people, and then keep going boundaries beyond where we are now. This is the idea. We are looking at taking this beyond even social media to other digital media platforms, so we can reach much more people. Because the more people know, the more they do, and the more people do, the more results we have. I find on here. We have been on this for more than 15 episodes now. We've discussed many interesting topics. I think we'll go back our identity. That was the first show, our debut show. We have discussed other conversations about discrimination of Igbo, our 20 pounds effect, our economic journey over the last 54 years. We have also discussed investment opportunities in our league. We have discussed agro-business. We've discussed tech. We've discussed media, the role of media in developing our league. We've discussed different interesting topics. And today, because now we are on a political series. We have talked about a few things already. And today, last week we discussed the voter, dealing with voter apathy in our league. Addressing voter apathy in our league. We're now going further into the real issue. That is defining the politics in our Igbo for good governance. 5 minutes today. I'm sure you saw the topic, that's why you came in. So I believe that you have some things in mind. If you would rather just listen from the background, it's okay. If you open the also feel free to request the mic. Like I said before, we are live streaming right now on YouTube. We're also live streaming on Facebook. Kunye Media Official on Facebook. And or Kunye-Media, that is Kunye-Media on YouTube. We're not going to waste time because before I might find out about the guy. Before we bring in people that will join us in the conversation, I just want to say a few things. One, ground rules here. When you request the mic and receive the mic, the first thing you do is to mute your mic and keep it on mute, and maybe raise your hand until you are to speak, so that the sound in your background does not interfere with what we're doing. Second thing, when you are to speak, please go straight to the point. Don't dilly-dally, don't beat around the bush. Just go straight to the point so that we save time. 3, don't go out of the conversation. Don't take us to another direction. Stick to the conversation, look at the topic, and focus on the topic. If we want to expand it, then we know we're all moving together. 4, Biko, we respect people here and we respect ourselves here. We don't insult people. Mind your language. 5, avoid noisy environment when you're speaking. So, not too much. When is your time to speak? Feel free to just keep your mic muted so that you don't interrupt until the coast is clear. Then you can now speak. This helps us to have a fruitful, civil, productive, and constructive conversation. Or when I walk with you, or when I get live. Like I said before, feel free to speak Igbo, feel free to speak English, feel free to speak English Igbo. Yes. All right. So now you can request the mic, and we'll bring you on, and then we'll get into the conversation. We'd also like you to be precise in your submission, so you don't take so much time, because you're making room for other people to be able to speak while we are having the conversation. Can't any guests today, so this is just in-house. We're having this conversation as a house. Anyway, again, redefining the politics in our Igbo for good governance. Ndị be anyị si na agbacha ọsọ agụọ mile. Ọkwa n'oke ije how far ije goro. Decide how you continue. Maka na onye na-eje ije negide anya n'azụ, jegide n'anya n'azụ, fụ na ebe ọ na-eje, oke ejekwa n'ofe a, ọgwọkwa ife omego n'ebe ọ na-eje. The person will begin to think, ebe a na-eje, ụzọ a nsi eje a ga-take him there. Ọ bụ ụzọ na ọ da ga-etu anwa, ọtọ na ọchọkwa ụzọ ọzọ. Onye mere ndị be anyị ji asị na enwe different ways esi eje aba. Ọ bụrụ ofu ụzọ ka esi eje aba. But ọ depend kwa ebe isi eje. Mana nke bụ eziokwu bụ na there are many ways to achieve whatever we want to achieve as ndị Igbo, especially when it comes to what we are looking for. Because in the heart, in the depths of the soul of every Igbo person, we're all looking for the same things. The same things at the basic. It's just that we have different expressions of the same thing we're looking for. It's just that we have different interpretations of what we want. In fact, some of us don't even know what we want. We don't know how to define it. We don't know how to explain it. We don't know how to articulate it. But inside our heart, we know it. We recognize it. We appreciate it when we see it. We know when we have good governance. Honor the obvious. I mean, real good governance. So some may affect badly. From bad governance. That they are the only ones who benefit from, who don't like good governance. And even those ones also know in their heart that this is good governance when it's there. So the only thing that is different is the expression, is the way we're going about it. Some of us are very angry. Some of us are bitter. Some of us are gentle. Some of us follow it in different ways. Some of us are just being strategic. Some of us are moving slowly. Some of us believe, no, okay, you want to find a job. But I ain't a job. Man, they are really good government. The reason for the good government, is not the only way they can benefit themselves. They haven't seen that enwe ka esi mekwa n'ife a onye ọbụla dị okay. That is why they had their shortcuts. So we're all looking for the same. The problem was the question is, since I build democracy in Nigeria, and how far? Is it working? How is it working for us? What has it benefited us? How has it improved our lives? If it is not working, what can we do? What can we do to what we are doing to make it work for us? Are there things that are working in the pattern or in the method on the approach we have been using? On what areas in the IGA world, what put those ones? Did you just what other things now work? What? I had them already. Join this effort together. On things that we're doing in our approach that are not working for us that we can remove and then replace them with things that are working. That's the question. Because we need to change our approach. The interesting thing is that it's already happening. There is an awakening. Anybody paying attention knows that over the last 1 year, there has been an awakening amongst Igbos. Whether it is viral, whether it is trending, it is in the heart of everybody. Sometimes you don't even need to say it, people just know what to do because they have been making observations. People have been paying attention. They see what's going on. They see what has worked. They see what is not working. It's just that some of us, sometimes we find ourselves being in denial, while some other times we are also blinded by anger, by emotions. Sometimes while we are lethargic, we're too slow, we're not moving as fast as we could or we should because of fear. So sometimes fear plays in, sometimes anger plays in. But the truth is that there is always one thing that brings us all together. So if I believe today is to identify those things and then look at how to look at our culture, our political culture critically, and then ask ourselves, what can we do to refine, to re-engineer this culture, to make it work for us? Or if I believe today, like I said before, feel free to request the mic and join us on the conversation so that we can run smoothly for the next 3 hours. And yeah, Jibego already. Kesi Wokoma, Ndewo, Kekime.
Odima, my brother, welcome. Kedu, how is everybody doing?
Mo akena say welcome. Gadiru,
Kekime.
Ị na-asa ka onye gbara ọsọ wee bata ebe a mana ama m ọ na fon ka iji mee asị amaazụ ka isi ekwu otu a.
Anọ m ezigbo speed. Nsizie nnọọ kama m ga-adị nnọọ absent. Let me make sure I attend. So I'm here. I'm happy to be a part of it as always. So today conversation did not very interesting because so again all politics in the back I got bankata. So it's interesting. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. I get move ozugbo. I will start with the first speaker, Mena or Mana or Mena Kanafu. Mena Dalu Gadiru. Let's hear from you. Go for it.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
I will go with English, my English is not that strong.
Gadiru Sebadro.
English, you said it.
Ikoya.
Yes. I have looked forward to this space right from the time one of our brothers shared it on our group, and I'm going to center on the topic politics in Igbo. Lately, I have begun to talk about conversation surrounding the Ohanes in Igbo, because I believe nationally and even in Igbo land, they are regarded as the apex socio-cultural organization, and I believe they should live up to their name. However, there seems to be a very big disconnect between the Ohanes in Igbo and the general Igbo populace, and it's not supposed to be so. You understand? The Ohanes in Igbo is supposed to be more of the platform through which Igbo worldwide, nationally, speak. There's a very huge disconnect. if we are to start playing politics in this country, we have to have a very, very solid and heavy platform. Johanese, which was established in the year 1970, right after the Civil War, the founding fathers of Johanese were mostly the veterans of the Civil War. And the generation that we have now, which I'm also part of, are supposed to key in into the structure that Johanese have and use it more like a pseudo Igbo union of the past to present Igbo in the face of national politics in Nigeria. That is one. So there was somebody that told us, actually informed us, that the last meeting they held here on this space, a member of Johanese Igbo was present, and I wish a member or more of maybe the major stakeholder of Johanese Igbo is also present here tonight, so we can begin to ask critical questions and know how we can key in into Johanese Igbo and use them as a platform to play national politics. That is one. So the question is, how do we key into the structure of Johanese Igbo? Because I don't like the question of, should we create a new apex cultural organization? The Johanese Igbo is cold. They've gone flat. They're having cold feet. Is all manner of clause, all manner of words to describe the dormancy of Johanese Igbo. Do we infiltrate Johanese Igbo? And how do we go about it so that we can take the reins of power from Johanese Igbo? People that won't be silent, they should be silent. We don't be vocal and speak on issues surrounding Igbo, speak on issues affecting Igbo. Let us take over the reins of power and speak through Johanese Igbo. I don't think it is necessary to create a new structure, to create a new group, or to create a new whatever. It's a new sociocultural organization. And sideline Johanese Igbo. If it is to infiltrate Johanese, how do we go about it? How do we go about membership?
Let me ask you.
Who are the stakeholders of Johanese Igbo? Sorry. Yes.
If you don't mind me asking you, why do you think Johanese Igbo is not meeting your expectations? What do you think is the reason?
Good. Thank you very much for that question. Now, first of all, I think Johanese Igbo is not meeting not just my expectation, but the expectation of a lot of Igbo youth out there. Because one, they appear under the water. They look cold, not vocal. We don't even hear that. To a very large extent, a lot of us don't even know they exist.
Good. I want to ask you another question. What do you think?
Hold on, sir.
Okay.
Hold on, sir.
Okay.
A lot of times, I've asked myself, who are the leaders of Johanese Igbo? Who is the PRO? Who is the youth leader? It was of recent, after my findings, I was discovering that they have the way it's structured. They have a president, a state president across the states, that the component state of Johanese Igbo. They have state president, they have vice president, they have this and they have that. But these people are not visible. I also went to their social media platform. If they have any social media, I've searched on Facebook, I've searched on X, on Twitter, to see the activities that they carry out in the group. It is cold. It's as if it's non-existent. So if they are doing anything, you don't know about it.
Okay.
And we need.
Well, yeah. Well, you've taken enough time, so I'm going to have another person speak. Let me just round up. You have 30 seconds to conclude. 30 seconds.
Okay. Now, the second part of what I want to talk about is the SEDC, that is the Southeast Development Commission, that is newly signed into law. How do we monitor the activities of SEDC so they don't be like NDDC? I remember the Eastern Region Development Commission. I don't know if I got that correctly. I remember the role they played in the development of Igbo in the old Eastern region. How do we? But now, now we just heard that they've signed this into law. We don't know what is going on. We don't know if there's a structure already on ground. We don't know. In fact, we might not even know when they're going to disburse the first batch of funds. We don't know the project they're going to undergo. So how do we monitor
All right.
SPDC?
All
You
right.
understand? To know
Yeah.
how we can push Ali Igbo forward. Going forward, I
All
need
right.
the mic. Thank you. I don't have other things to say, but I'll let other people talk and I can come in later. Thank you very much.
You will come back. You will come back. Thank you very much, Mena. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see him taking us to Ohanes and Igbo, and that's an interesting perspective. But we will touch it later. Let's still circle back to the topic. We're looking at the culture, the political culture of Igbo, not just the group that we recognize, but the political culture of Igbo, and how far it has taken us. We need to query that culture. Is it working for us? If it's not working for us, do we need to adjust and adapt and evolve and retool it to what can work for us? If we must do that, what do we have in that culture that is good? And then what do we have in that culture that is not working that we can remove? And what can we introduce into that culture to make it work for us? How do we build or re-engineer the way we do politics to the point that it works for us? And we don't have to imitate any other region because we are unique. We're unique in our belief system. We're unique in our value system. We are also unique in the way we engage ourselves in our leadership system. We are what we call egalitarians. We don't have anything called feudalism in our blood. We believe that ibili can bili, ebo belu ugo belu, nkesi ibeye bena, kukwaya. Nobody is a master of the other. And we're a leader, but the leader doesn't dominate anybody. The leader doesn't. No, there are no subjects amongst us. So our culture, our heritage, our value system, our leadership system is different by virtue of where we come from, how we started. So that means that we can't play politics the way the other regions play politics, even though we can do some things that we can learn from them, but we can't play the way they play. We have to play the way it works for us, especially when it comes to what happens in the Southeast. So if I now join right now, what is our culture? Have we ever queried our culture? Have we ever queried how we do politics? Do you see any shifts going on already in this transformation? Do you see it? What do you recognize? Kenny, how far now?
All right. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
All right. Ekenemono. Kenefana Chelenondo. Afambo Kenny. Also, now you touched a good point when you mentioned that the political culture and how we as a people over time, whether we had it or we still trying to learn it or we trying to imitate others, all those things, to me, they are not existing. The reason why I said that is because there's a certain way we started from inception, even before the era of the white man and whatever they brought with them, and then the present day style of governance in Nigeria, politics in Nigeria. And the uniqueness, and I think some other part of the world, to an extent, great philosophers have tried to, research into this same tribe called Igbo and how they go about, running themselves. And that's that same democracy we are talking about. Remember the word misunderstood, especially Nigeria, misunderstood that style of politics. When I think our leaders back then, they mix up with them, go to some certain kind of meeting, and after they were done, they believe that once you go back to your region and say what you heard in the meeting, and it's done. But the Igbos, the leaders at the time, will always tell them, no, but the fact that we have agreed here does not mean it's verbatim. No, I have to go tell them. So it started like a subtle yabis back then, like I will not get king, we be from here. It means say things when you hear and often go tell your people, maybe they for agree with you. And he will stand his ground that, be like that for my own side to talk to them. And ọbụrụ na m bịa gwa ha na ọ ka o si wee mee na ọ ka esi wee kwuo ya na ya ekwete, they have to go to their own small enclaves, clans and all of that, and have meetings, whether to agree or not, whether in favor or against whatever was discussed. And I'm saying, in this present day time, if we can fall back to that same culture, there are 1,000,001 benefits from it, in the sense that onye nyere ọchịchị n'aka mana ọ bụrụ ya ka ọ tọrọ n'aka take a decision or iri nwa ihe ego nọ n'ime, because you have to explain. Ma nwa onyonyo nwa mgbenye na nwa ọgaranya ihe eme. It doesn't mean that you will come to meet them door to door. No. And which are, segments of these bodies where you have to explain. The other ones will carry until it trickles down to families and homes. By the time my friend and you see feedback, then finally leader who now says, okay, majority of my people saying like this or like that. There's a good thing in it, which I think, because of present style of politics in Nigeria, we lost all of that. But we can still go back there. There's not. And once we trigger this thing and activate it, even if it's the devil himself, just like Rollins tried to do in his Ghana, fire their around the culture or political culture. In fact, if you're not ready, you won't even smell or trying to veer into such position in the first place, because a na-ekwu nke iji jisie ya ike ịpụta bịa sie nri nye gbuo efi rụọ ụlọ nke gị mee ilo nke gị gbazie nkịtị ndị mmadụ na-enene gị a na-etu gị chiama. No, na-eme etu a amarọ ka esi aza ụdị oloya mba ị akọwatara anyị how far ka efe ijetere ka efe iji bata ka esi eki ya. You understand? So if we can, you may think it's small, but obo na anachi back to that same style. And it's not a biggie to go back to that style. It's just sensitizing the people. Nekwa joba ajujo. Eja adanu yo ajujo. Na moma ya bia na when a town hall meeting bia ko watalai. In fact, this day and time things are going to go advanced. Immediately you want a board. And then when board na union development abi development centers in rural areas. Their board na kwa ego na ke wepụtare for malaria for this year or this month. And I focus yaga. No one care for health sector, for nkewa, anemia. Understand? And then again, maybe local government chairman, cable councillor, cable governor. Come a culture. It's our thing. We cannot emulate others. Oga walk right. Even kind of how now, mbakwa. My name in the name of God. If with one voice up front, and that would destabilize the feeling in how much politics. Police and make it out okay why you. And it check based on our style, our natural style, the way we started. A godfather. It can never work. You can only last for a month, 2 or 1 year. They will oust you there. They will take you out by just, attitude, words, questions being asked. To me, I but how to reactivate a solution to this. Let's fall back to who we were originally before this present day kind of politics, and even before the came, because they were the ones who introduced this thing. And then all the guy in our last name and I am last mobile activate our own Gaima who will be respected more on all political fronts and stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kenny. It's always interesting to have your takes on this kind of conversation. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Remember what we're talking about, our culture. What do we have now that is working for us? What do we need to add to that? Do we need to rejig it? Do we need to refine it? Do we need to re-engineer it? How do we do that so we can make it work for us? How you find it now? Mayor for Onu. Mayor for Oru. K5 game our politics. What do you think our politics looks like right now? I build from there. Mayor.
Okay. Diba ekene mu rienu ngonu zuonu. Onanum.
Ana m anụ ife na-ekwu mana anyị anụ gị. Gaa n'ihu.
It's my first time on this show, and I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you very much. I went sober with this present political system. Ndị Igbo nwere ezigbo nsogbu. It's not working for us. Otu Oga Kenny si kwuo, this present political structure is a big problem for Igbo generally. So it's not working for all. We need to go back to that we are known for, which is democracy. I concur to that. So I think what worked for us in the past was regional government. Regional government really worked for us. But the reason why this one is not working for us is because now the creation of states now Igbo breed a lot of problems and a lot of greed. The creation of states. When you say Igbo Governors Forum, no, Southeastern Governors Forum that can come together and champion development among all the Southeastern states. But Famamia, because equal Oyanambara Sigi Bulu policies go now Imo State. Abia Sigi Bulu policies go now Abia State. Even Imafia, I can tell you, I'm in Lagos. N'Imafia, enwe ọchịchị n'Imafia, ndị Igbo ana-agba onwe fa mgba, ndị Anambra si n'ọfa achị, ndị Imo si n'ọfa achị. Enweghị unity again among Igbos. Enweghị unity again. So we need to go back to the structure. We need to go back to the root and figure out what our problems are. Or greed. Ka ewepụ ya, because kisikwuo n'izizi na-emeje bute ife na mba abata akpa keke esi ka ifa keko esi ka ya ka olu onye ọbụla aka mana mba ada emezi ya kita bụ ije bute nke gị na family gị ma ndị na ezinụlọ gị ndị nọ gị n'akụkụ ga-eri ma ọ bụ your supporters ga-eri, and that's it, which is very bad. We are I bụ ndị na-akpa nwanne Igbo bụ onye gaba ọkpọrọ nwanne ya. Look at we are we are least developed places in Nigeria. By Pempe, I want a very small landmarks of which came our Southeastern governors, or now that the creation of Southeast Development Commission, let's come together, bring our people together, create a railway that will connect all the Southeastern, open the River Niger. These things are things that we can do. We have federal allocations coming from the federal level. Combine all these allocations together, build a collective developmental structure that connects all our regions. So, okwa rinne mana kai wele wayo because we are already corrupt. The system have corrupted us. The current system have corrupted our people. The current system has made us greed. No yegawa Abuja if on a trouble, his own pocket. So Abuja nata pa keka esimifa. Eja Abuja wete ego atụkọrọtị ọnụ wele adozie ebe anyị. Oya abụzi ndị Abịa nawa, ndị Enugu nawa, ndị Anambra nawa, ndị Imo na atụkọrọtị ọnụ anyị wee dozie ebe anyị. Without the presence of the federal government, we can build our place to the Dubai that we are looking for. Thank you very much.
Dalvin Nemayo, your passion is very admirable. I love it. The banks na anuwa also What I'm saying is that, yeah, I know that the creation of the states disrupted what works for us. I know that. But the underlying problem of Obrano State, because if the culture, if the mindsets, if the behavior, if the belief system that helped us to perform during the regional time, the time we had regional government. If that culture was maintained, it can be applied to the states too. Because I want to go and a region, I want to a state. All these things are names. The only difference is that the region was divided into two. No, it was divided into, I think, 3-4 places because there was a Delta, Dinka, Bozia Bendel, Dinka was the Cross River, Apozia from Igbo. But the point is that Igbo had 2 states. So whatever we were applying in one region could have been applied in those 2 states if we had the same mindset maintained, if we sustained that culture, if we sustained those value system, that value system that we used to build what we had built. So our value system, that's what Ken is talking about, going back to our foundation. I mix, I rapona, nozo, we balogaba. I to go somewhere even though we have gone so far individually, but collectively, I can anazo. So let's continue this conversation on that trajectory. If I get our culture, what do you see in our culture that is not working for us? What do we need to add to that? And Gabo, our approach. After some time, we will touch what men have talked about when it comes to Ohaneze, but I back into this culture conversation some more. So in New Mountain, KKM.
Good evening, everybody.
There we
and after maybe doing this topic I am now, that the number one problem in feeling now in the buy especially in the southeast, we have OJBego politics and why not practice in the southeast. So now because no Diego, everybody about our political jobbers, especially even now, you will see that everybody now but as a political jobbers. And then this thing AI produces in our individual states leaders that don't have passion for Igbo. Now, Obodai, out of all the other regions in Nigeria, our region was the region for 3 years. Destruction. The biggest market I went the whole of West Africa was destroyed because some then and a lot of people from all places in Africa, even Tanzania, come to Onitsha then to buy things. But all those things no more. And after that now, because of where we have been electing our leaders, we have forgotten that we actually lost a war. Now ground politics now. If everybody shall practice here, on a different disgusting. If now, we don't think about who has passion to build, who has passion for Igbo land, who has passion to help build back that glorious days we had then. Yota. Now, that is why we will have a governor. Omane perform for 8 years. Still happier. For example, Enugu State, because Enugu, the former governor, was there. Then they had very, very well built a whole lot of infrastructure. Then after that, we now elected another governor at that Enugu State. All he was saying is thank you in the Enugu. For 8 years, this man did not build a single infrastructure. Enugu lacks water. But because near no practice of it, like the governor, there were Guru disciples then. Like he literally created a cult of quality, like everybody now here. Even to the point that even I know them a lot of people they have issues because they couldn't pay school fees. So the exam, we chased them, stay on a ham and the exam. So these people protested, people from institutes, then we change the engineering then then. before they move out. So they protest to go out to governor there for them. Your gadget, the school fees is expensive and they can't pay for it at the moment. They had exam. Do you know what this man did? This man just gave them 1 million naira to go and share. Instead of solving the main problem that they came for, or just near 1 million naira, these people went themselves happy about donation because of the money. So this is the problem we have in the Southeast. We have built our politicians now. He had notable cut of personality, like body to serve. They are now instead of building institutions that will last us forever, that will lift us out of poverty. Because in as much as we keep saying there is poverty in that land, in Southeast, that a lot of people have neglected. And the reason why is because we don't really focus more on people that actually value, our problems. Rather, we focus on people that can bring money. You can make a campaign like this now, yeah. This guy but then when it comes to federal election, Igbos will now be like, we know what we're doing. We can elect the best. We can elect the best leaders. We don't make mistakes when we are electing presidency. But now, when we presidency that have little to no impact on the local level, because you can't tell me that the president knows the most pressing need. Somebody let's say on the Tamil market now, or all these places. But our local politicians, people that actually know this. If you come to local government now, you draw a typical person now, or my local government chairman here now. We don't even know the name of our local government chairman across the board. It's not even only in Enugu or it's across. We don't even do as if that we are behind, and there's a lot that we need to do, and that has prompted so many people now. The business, because they know that our politicians will not take care of, will not value them setting up business. We tend to leave. That is why we are having brain drain in the Southeast. Nobody can establish something tangible when they're professional. When they finish your school, because finish in school 2014. I will tell you for a fact that all my 8th grade that have the same qualification that I have are no longer in the Southeast. They are either in Lagos or out of Nigeria. Leaving Southeast bed, and the Mezia actually election. If you know people that don't even understand the problems all they need is that basic need. I can help 100 naira, I can help 1,000 naira, can carry go need this money. That is why we tend to make mistakes when we are electing our leaders in the Southeast. So, I get a chance to educate ourselves about what really happened, because that is the reason why, if you look at what is happening now in the Southeast, a lot of people have even given up because of the way our government is being run, not even because of the federal government. Now, when IPOB and when sit at home, everybody don't know that it's because of the failure of our government, that they cannot even protect their people and push a narrative that will quench the agitations that all these other criminals have hijacked all these movements. Do you understand?
All right,
so I believe that.
Yeah, take 30 seconds to round up. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm already finishing. So what I'm trying to say in essence now, Open and Ega together. Do you understand? Where make sure now, if we want to elect our leaders, Igbo divided. A nation not divided, no why. So it's a standard. But what we need is to know our pressing need, and then make sure that we elect leaders that actually have love. People who want love, people that have actually achieved something. Igbo Governor Joy and Wabia, what have you done for Igbo nation? How many businesses do you have in the Southeast? What will you do for us that will make us to vote for you? ọ bụla onye bịa weta 1000 naira asị oke na ọ dị ka onye anụ abịa gachi then mgbe ọ batazi ihe ọmụna sọ ya ome for 8 years and is all over. Anyway, ka m go ebe a because of time. Thank you very much.
Daalụ nwanne m. Ka esi efugonu ka o si dị.
Nah, ana m anụ nnọọ a lot of the comments here, and I think a lot of them make so much sense, especially the first person who here, ihe okwu about Ohaneze ndị Igbo, and it just ties into the structural aspect of our politics, which at some point I need to dive into deeply. Redefining our politics, to me, means so many things, and you can look at it from so many perspectives. But in here, the important, but no, I like to look at things from a very, very simplistic way. What do we want to achieve? Our objective. Need. What do we have? Need. What is going to take us to where we're going? So we can look at it from a very, very simple terms. The people, more Ngiwa, all of us are not here, a community of people where our interests at heart. Even on a higher level, when people wiki represent, we can even use P2B as a very simple example, as somebody we can trust as a leader. So it's simple. We're people that can rally around our political interest. 2, here's other quite important, but structure. And our structures, very well and good, our structures, but the question becomes, how functional are the structures anyway? Back to the comments about Ohaneze and Igbo. What role? Because in there, by definition, like get the point of it to begin with. What are you doing? What are you doing for the Igbo people? Their objective, their goal, unite in the Igbo in order to foster our interests, especially politically. So you can say our political interests, by definition, or the objective. Get goal, unite and Igbo, bring Igbo people together, foster our political interest. That's it. Or call it socio-political interest. Because in Anya, the formation started from after the Civil War as a way to bring Igbo people together. Which means in conversations about politics, how we role inside, how we role honey they play, they are very, very vital and very, very important. So we now have to start looking at the structures how we're now. How prevalent has it been? What role have they played? And what role do they need to play in seeking that political interest and helping us attain it? Because most people who hear, there's so many things wrong, whether you have to address it from a cultural perspective, from a shift in culture. And at some point, getting with that shift to me, are people more focused on, monetary gains as opposed to common good, looking at it from an ethical standpoint. Oh, so many directions in Wikipedia. But at the end of the day, we're not really leveraging the things I want, the strong, vital elements I need to attain our political goals. I don't think we're leveraging it enough. Money show, ever I know here, Makode Mandibo, is simply Ohaneze and Igbo, their goals are. Makode, what brings us together? So how a show like this should be sponsored by them? A show like this should have different areas and different geopolitical zones in the Igbo should have conversations like this, because political education is also very, very important. People are coming out and people are speaking up. If we are well informed and have good knowledge about our political process, about our political needs, then together we can collectively find ways to solve them. Everybody united, we get here so many times, but in politics, I ain't united. Because it's now okay. There's every other tribe in Nigeria go Igbo's opportunity. We just select one person Gabu leader, and will just make it happen. That in itself, Gabu, one of the biggest problems in the because when it comes to collectivism, when it comes to coming together, especially politically, I don't know economics or any other, like we come together for every other thing, but politically, and then we know a lot of division. And then when so we have to find ways to unify our politics first. Unify our politics. And I think that's where the structure comes in. That's where conversations of how can we find people who can represent us in the realm of affairs. How can we make that happen? Because all they know are very, very vital. For me, but no, the most important thing. So I know, politics in the bar is any different from politics and maybe in the in the north or maybe in the west. We have to pay close attention to how things around us affect us. If we can deal internally with the problems with the issues within our geographic locations, then on the national level, the line way easy because it seems like we're united, on the forefront. So before we need to talk about the national side, we need to come back to our geographic locations, our local politics. Let us solve some of the divisions some of the problems And I think you made a comment about the cultural aspect of it. I feel no change, Bago. And it changes with some things that are simple as political awareness. In Anya, the last election could have been a very, very good example. I still believe today there's no clamor for change in the Baincho, not just in the in Nigeria as a whole, that doesn't require any form of electoral amendment, because I feel but one of the biggest issues and biggest problems. You can take the last election, for example. Even if we come together and we're collective and we decide, even if we decide to follow the political process, it might not turn out in our favor. Or go out in our favor. We also have the judiciary to worry about, because we saw what happened in the Imo State. So it feels like there's a lot of hurdles that we have to skip through. And where a lot of things are against us. But knowing that and identifying that, to look at some of the places and some of the regions that have faced some of those adversities and how they approach it. And I say this all the time. Abia State is a good example. All we just need to do, what played out in Abia State? How did it happen? And how did Alex Oti become the governor? You say, okay, can this be replicated? Can we take this and actually sample this in every other region, every other state, Nemo and Nibo land? Yes, of course, we can do it. What it took, again, was the structure, the people. That's all it took. So, in defining our politics and structuring it for good governance, first, we need to understand where role I need to play. No. And deciding not to come out and lend the voice changes nothing. We have to understand that where powers I need leverage to get us to that level, that's next level. And I think conversations like this, but the starting point, because back idea is in Igbo. So that's just all I want to say. Back to you, Trika.
Oh, that one them. Very true. If the enemy within is defeated, the enemy outside, the external enemy becomes weaker, much weaker. The truth is that the prism through which we see the enemy outside is the enemy within. The enemy within makes it difficult for us to look very well because we're distracted all the time. But once the enemy within is defeated, it becomes easier. First of all, you build more momentum, you build more strength, you build more courage to face the one outside, because the one outside doesn't know what you have. It doesn't know what you're doing. It doesn't know what you're up to. But when you have an enemy within, the enemy within works with the enemy outside, then it's easier to bring you down, So if I gonna draw Waibo, I mean, everyone was never about Belemwa. Everybody here is more than 18 years, I believe. Some people here are more than 30, 40, 50. So many of us 20, 30 years ago, we were told, we are the leaders of tomorrow. And I go to school then. 30 years later, 20 years later, are we still going to continue singing the same song? No, come on. First of all, we're the ones in touch with technology. We're the ones in touch with news as it comes. So, the news, I'm not going to NTA or AIT, as in updated per minute. We are in touch with information all the time at our fingertips. We are the fresh brains. We are young. We have energy. We have network. We have time. We have time. We have strategies. We have talent. We have creativity. So why are we waiting for our elders? Ohaneza has been existing since 1976. Come on. The first time I saw the date of the day it was founded, I was shocked. Really? That's what I said to myself. Really? This thing has been existing since that time? That means something is not working. And we don't have to shove them aside. We don't have to condemn them. No. We can probably take a more active position that will place us where they can serve advisory roles for us because they are elders. But we can't be waiting for our elders to do things for us at this time. They don't have what we have at all. The only thing they have is money and experience. We have the rest. And there's always a way to bring things to a certain point where they say, because I'm telling you, before we started the show, I spoke with at least 3 elders and they told me, I can't get involved. I will support in every way I can. That's what they keep saying. Because you can't woofer. They won't tell you, but they're tired. Many of them are very old. Many of them, they know when hang and I got check up in the US or governor because they are not even healthy in the first place. So we have to start looking within. What do we need to do? What can we do? And then from here, what can we do to our politics to rejig it, to re-engineer it, to make it work for us? And our first son, which okay, one them. There we
Dalurine, your last commission really laid a very good foundation to what I have to say. Honorable, anyị na-akpanya bụ nkata. Ndị be anyị si na mmadụ kwesịrị ịma ebe mmiri si wee bido mabịa ka o wee mara ebe ọ na-akwụsị. Nke bụ eziokwu bụ na we may not be where we want to be. We may not be doing exactly what we want to do. But before I continue, because na yo ndị be anyị onye ọbụla na-ege m ntị, biko tosa anya bụ space I know na your timeline so that we can have more people join us. Ọ bụrụ na ị na-ebe a, biko click on the share button. Ị ga-afụ ihe dịka arrow na point up. Just click ya, share ya ka anyị wee nweta more people wee gbafa na ndị Igbo na-akpa nkata ebe dị etu a. Onye ọbụla join na anyị ka ndị ọzọ wee banye nnukwu ife ọnụ na-ekwu. So back to the topic. Ọ na-abụ nyabụ nkata ebido kpaba nyabụ nkata. Ọ dịka enwere ebe anyị nọ ma ọ nwere ife anyị na-eme ma ọ bụ ife emebisigo ma ọ bụ everywhere adasigo. Nke bụ eziokwu bụ na enwere ebe ọ bụrụ ebe anyị nọ bụ before ka anyị nọ kịta. O nwere ike anyị adịrị aga ka anyị si wee chọọ. The pace may not be exactly what we want. The impact may not be exactly what we want. We have a lot of challenges currently. We have a lot of challenges. And sometimes I look at these challenges as a blessing in disguise because this is only time where strong and patriotic people can only rise up in our Igbo. Oge dị ugbu a ka eji ama ndị bụ odogwu. Oge dị ugbu a ka eji ama ndị bụ dike. Oge dị ugbu a ka eji ama ndị fụrụ ana Igbo n'anya. Ọ kịta ka ya amazi onye nwere ife o nwere iwepụta bịa ma alụ ma ike ma ife niile ọ bụla ị nwere. Chuka, what you were saying is very important. I think this is something that has been missing for a very long time. There is this gap between our elders and the young people. From the distance, the young people perceive our elders as people who are useless, corrupt, very unpatriotic, very, all about their money and they're selfish and everything negative. And from also a distance, the elders see the young people as people who have lost it. They are not paying attention. So that level of disparity, Abro, if I gonna entertain whenever we are talking about issue like this, redefining the politics. The truth is that most of the people who are leading us right now are not the type of people we should have anywhere close to leadership, because the entry point has really been reduced to the barest, so anybody can just access it. Poorly educated, ill-gotten wealth, any type of charlatan can just get into the political or leadership position. So we have to collectively agree that leadership entry points should be redefined in such a way that for you to gain access to leadership position, you must meet certain points or certain elements of things like character, competence. These are basics. You have to meet them before any other thing. And we have to be very, very, very serious about it. Our broke before our use primordial sentiment where cover. No, we must place emphasis on those key foundations. So let me go straight to what I think we should look at. I often talk about Eastern Economic Corridor. I often talk about recently they signed into law the Southeast Development Commission law. And a lot of people have been having several divergent opinions around this issue. And this is something that we can really put heads together with our leaders, our elders who started this journey. The intention is very genuine. The intention is very good. They are as patriotic as we are. We are not more patriotic than some of them, not all of them anyway. They are as patriotic as we have. Sat and listened to many of them, and I can tell you that they are very, very interested in the development and advancement of our Igbo. There is a group called Southeast Region Economic Development Company, SEREDEC. I don't know if any of you have heard of, has heard of the group. It is chaired by Bat Naji. We had people like Dr. Pascal Duzier, Dr. Abraham Wanko, who is the coordinator. We also have Ben Akabezo. We have people of, credible reputation of experience in that group. We also have other ones. But the truth is, these organizations, they have been very consistent. They have been doing enough, or should I say doing a lot. May not be enough, but they are doing a lot to bring about development. They are bring about financing the economic development of the Southeast. Some of the projects they embarked upon include the Enyimba Industrial City, the Southeast Railway Network, Eastern Medical Research Hospital, and of course Southeast Gas Pipeline, among others. And now these projects were things they articulated and intended to achieve. I don't know like the state of some of these projects, but the truth is that it has been designed. And what we should do as young people or people who are coming up towards that end is to demand or to request to understand what exactly is going on. What are they doing? Where are they? How do we come in? How do we support what is going on? How do we modify it to suit our standard and all of that? So these are the things that we should be doing. There are so many developmental projects that is going on across Igbo. We need to pay attention to them. We need to get involved in holding these leaders accountable, be it those ones occupying the leadership of SEREDEC or those occupying the political offices. We should demand and ask what exactly is going on. So when you don't ask those questions, you begin to throw tantrums or begin to say things that are out of line, then you find out there will be a total disconnect. I am not saying that these guys are getting it 100%. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that we should be able to interrogate this thing with enough information so that people we are actually interrogating will know that we know what we're saying. For example, I was talking about, I mentioned Southeast Development Commission law, and a lot of people were kicking against it without having full knowledge of what it is. First off, the Southeast the Southeast Development Commission law, it is purely designed for the Southeast and by the Southeast. It has almost zero, nothing to do with the federal government. The reason why it's required, the law is to make it binding for each member states, so that nobody will come tomorrow and say they're no longer part of it. Do you understand? So that every funding process, especially the one that will be coming from the federal government, not from their pocket anyway, but from the monthly allocations, statutory allocations that is due to the member states, that will be going to that account. That is a certain percentage designated. Then there is also a percentage that is also coming from the states that are producing oil, and states that are also producing minerals, extractive minerals. Certain percentage will also go into the pocket. Then there is also a certain percentage that will be coming from the member states commission, from ecological fund, and the state government and the legislatures from these places. Then ultimately there will also be crowdfunding for different purposes. So these are the things that we articulated to make this a law, so that every member state will be binded to by the law. So that is why it is important. The rejection of this law was never necessary. It was never supposed to be rejected, because it has absolutely nothing to do with the federal government. Yeah, so we should understand that. Then understand that now that this stage has been set, what next? The group like Seredec that has been articulating programs on how to revive the economy of the Southeast, what next? These are the things we should begin to make demand from them. What next? Because if we don't make the right demands, there will not be right answers. So that's what I wanted to point out in all these conversations. So I want to come from a different dimension to it. What is our responsibility at this point is beginning to look at all these critical things that are that are ongoing within the region. We begin to say, where are we at this stage? Where are we at that stage? How do we get from point A to point B, and so on and so forth? So I greet you all, and I thank you for the opportunity. I will yield here.
Darunne Uche, that's very, very instructive. I think we need to dedicate a conversation to this, to the fund projects, the economic fund projects, the various ones that have been designed so far, and look at it together in a conversation and interrogate each of them and see the roles we can play. That should be, a show to be dedicated to that. Maybe an episode of the MONI show. That's something we can do. Yeah, I believe that.
And I also wanted to add, Uche could not very important, because oftentimes, making no effort, one number, it's hard for people to see it sometimes. And abroad, none of the people out there here, because sometimes somewhere some changes now they're not very evident. You see it is clear. But one day, you have to actually point it out and show people, which is where communication comes in. So now all of these things I think is important also I say highlight. But then too, we have to look at ways to even spread it even further. At least there are things in place and things that are coming. So again, good outline there with you. Thank you, Wande.
Yeah, what I feel, why is it that there is a disconnect between the young Igbos and the people who are doing these things? And one thing keeps coming to my mind. We don't have a body. We don't have a voice. We don't have a rallying point. So when they want to speak to us behind closed doors, who do they call? Do you understand? They can't come publicly to talk about everything. Actually discuss. Where are our young people? Where are our brilliant young people?
Okay, let me just chip in a little thing here.
Yes.
Just for a second. If there's any need for young people to go and reach, of course, it is only right for young people to reach out, not the other way around. Now, if there is anywhere where young people will reach out to these elders, it's always people within the lands, within the political appointees, the political hooligans, people who find themselves with some political circle. These are the people that bring out time, right, to reach out to. And when they get to these people's, when they get access to these elders, they barely discuss progressive things. They talk about, in fact, it's about actually praising them. It's about telling them what they want to hear and ultimately expecting something, because these guys are not really interested in. So you find out that people who really have something to offer, intellectually, otherwise, may not even have time. They don't even have time, or they don't even have avenue of doing that. And that is why something like this is very essential. So we can constitute ourselves people who really know what to do or what to say or what to advise. Come up with your points, come up with your agenda, reach out. Some of these people that are waiting, because when you eventually reach out to them at every point and start speaking to them, you notice this excitement. And they want you to see that they are also interested in seeing the development. So I think the onus is on us, the responsibility is on our shoulders right now to begin to redefine this. So that's what I want to add. Yeah,
exactly. That's absolutely true. I think that I'm asking myself, nothing is undeniable like results. When you're moving and doing things, visible impact, and that happen, nobody can ignore it. People can pretend like they don't see it, but nobody can ignore it. If there is just the same way, can you give example? Can you give one example? I would give you two. Let me start with one. About a decade ago, a group of young Igbos, relatively young, came together, Biafra, and they started a momentum. They started a fire, and that fire turned to a momentum, and that momentum turned into a movement and got the attention of Ohaneze and Igbo and the rest of Igbo elders, even the governors. Why? Because what they were doing, even though it might have been perceived to cause some harm, what they were doing had impact. Negative or positive, it had impact. There was visible, tangible, significant results coming out. Whether it's negative or positive is not the point. The point is that and they were moving in one direction. So what that informs us is that that is moving in one direction, positive, of course, but if very impactful as a body, be serious about it, be committed, be united with one voice, and when impact, whether they call us or we call them, wouldn't matter anymore. There will be a connect immediately, because those who are looking for progress find each other naturally.
Yep.
That's the question I'm asking. So how do we get ourselves to the point where we can become that machine that Ali Igbo needs, by the elders, by those who want to run for office? Because the truth is that we have people. Peter Obi and Alex Oti are just examples. They're not even the best. You can only say they're the best when you have looked at all our people. This is the end of the best. These are just the ones who have been courageous enough to come into the murky waters and play politics. Yeah. It's possible there are far more experienced, far more competent people around us. In fact, some of you know them personally. Some of them are in your family. Some of them are in your community. Some of them are in your church. Some of them are in the state where you live, or in the locality where you live in America or in Lagos or Abuja. But they just don't want to get into politics. So how do we turn ourselves into that machinery? Reliable, solid, formidable machinery that everybody knows that if they plug into this thing will deliver what we want. Because we are the young people. That's what we're looking at when we're talking about our political culture. What's that structure? How do we make ourselves formidable in the midst of all these things that are happening in Nigeria? Because I think we're our own unique problem. We are the progressive. We are the ones who want Nigeria to work, indeed. And we are the ones who have been making efforts to make it work. But I said, okay, let's go and fix our own home. I go see an example with our home. I go see Chende Anua. And we have seen that it's possible. I mean, Alex Ot is a product of the movement. Everybody knows that if there was no obedient movement, Alex Ot wouldn't exist. We won't have Alex O as the governor of Abia State. That's another example. And when that movement started, the same old men started running around them. The same politicians started chasing them. Alex Oti was sharp enough to plug into it. And that's how the wind carried him into the office of the Abia State governor. So if I cannot join Waibo, how do we turn what we have into that particular structure that can make this work? That's what they call going next. They will. Okay, man. Before you because let me just do a little formality, house cleaning. In case you're here for the first time, this is the MONI show, Makaodem Mandibo. MONI is an acronym for Makaodem Mandibo, like I said before. And we have this conversation every Saturday here. And we have live stream on YouTube and on Facebook. We do this just as a conversation between progressive Igbos. Rub minds, share ideas, generate solutions like we're doing now to our collective problems, and then find ways to apply them effectively for what we're looking for as Igbo. I find here. So if you want to join this conversation, feel free to request the mic. You can speak Igbo, you can speak English. We don't discriminate about that. We just have some rules. Respect yourself, stick to the conversation, go straight to the point, avoid noisy environments. Oh, we're not lying. Let's move forward. So, Plato, Are you ready to speak? Go for it.
Yeah, Chika, let me just add before Plato jump. Because in the runner space, help us share the space. We need, as much people as possible, because so share the space if you can. And when a lot of people now speak, we'll bring more people on to speak. Chance to contribute. You can also go and leave some comments and things like that. We'll address it. But please share the space. All the know important. Thank you. Go on, Plato.
Okay, Chuka, ndeba ideal one.
Dalo.
Ndewo. Okay, tupu m aga n'ilu ịma nkata anyị kpado that day, ụmụbụli ihe m chọrọ add mana anyị bịalụ bịa court so mana ọ ga-akpasikwala ihe anyị na-ekwu today. I think in order to encourage more of our people to get them more politically educated, we can work with content creators in the Southeast, even outside the Southeast that are from the Southeast, to help us. We can write script that is tailored towards political education, political participation. We can do things like that, people are now, it's now easier for us to watch things on our phone, so it can help and educate our people. All right, so about what we're talking about today, I've always been of the opinion that we need an umbrella, an organization that is above all the politically elected office holders in the East. That organization should be able to channel and articulate Southeast interests economically. No matter the party the governor is from, that particular thing should be our dream, our goal, which supersedes every other political interest. But now let me bring it down to the simple one we are talking today. You see, in the whole of Nigeria, I think it was Case that was speaking when I, you see, once someone gets power in the Southeast, you find it difficult to collect power from the person. Apart from maybe between Ngige and P2B, not even Ngige, it was only Mbadunju that did one tenure because of a lot of internal wrangling within the and Godfather and so on and so forth, was not able to get his second tenure. And or Hakim, other people have been, once they have first tenure, it's as easy as going for second tenure. But it's not like that in other places. It's more in our place. And let me shock us. Southeast is the place that is easier to lead in the Southeast. It's easier to do projects in the Southeast than any other place. I decided in Akwa Ibom, if you have a contract to do road or do water project in a community anywhere in Akwa Ibom, when you come, you show them bill of landing, bill of quantity, you show them every of your paper, you consult them, you settle them, you employ someone from the community before you start doing the project. in my own place, if you come to do project in my place, we'll even buy drinks for you, showing you that the cost of doing project is cheaper in my place, in Enugu State, in the whole of Southeast than in other places. But again, most times when people find their way into leadership position, they forget where they are coming from. And let me, the Bible said that we should be as wise as a serpent and as innocent as a dove. There is something we can learn from IPOB. There is something we can learn from them. Their organizational ability and acumen. There's always a good thing about the bad thing. There's always something to learn from a particular thing. I think it was Chuka that mentioned it. An organization they formed became so powerful. Yes, I did not agree with their goal or whatever, but their organization was so strong. So I believe that we as young people can actually organize ourselves if we have knowledge to sell to the people, if you have information to sell to the people, if you have a dream to sell to the people will key into this dream. And before the people holding power today, they will realize it. They will see that there's no longer sand under their feet. They will want to be part of the new dream. Because, yes, after the war, Mbakwe and Jim Obodo, they were so much in a haste to rebuild Igbo when they got power. When they got power in 1979, they were so much in a haste to rebuild Igbo. But after two of them, the other people that got power, I don't know what they were doing, and they are still doing today. There is almost absence of democracy in Igbo. Those intangibles, those things you cannot touch, rule of law, is almost as if it does not exist in Igbo. We don't ask questions. And someone said something here that when it's federal, yes, we'll come out, we want the best, but in our own home, of which I've always said it, I prefer having people like P2B 5 in the whole of Eastern State than even having someone like him as the president of Nigeria. Because as president of Nigeria, he will work for the whole Nigeria. But if we have 5 people like him, or even better than him, as governors in the 5 states in the East, I tell us that within a very shortest period, we will have, leapfrogged into a higher realm in development. Our people outside Nigeria and within Nigeria would have been part of development, would have been contributing toward development of our place if we have an honest leader. Because, see, it's very, very easy for an Igbo man to release his money once he's sure that his money will be put to judicious use. But if anything, even an atom of doubt, he will hold back. And that is what we are facing in the East. Once someone becomes governor, that will behave like Lord of the Manor. And there is no exception from Enugu to Anambra to, you see people behaving like thugs because they have access to power. And it has nothing to do with party. If party A is there, everybody will just queue behind the person and the madness continues. So I feel that we as young people, we can actually educate ourselves, inform others, and build the Southeast. Because forget ife esikoliko na ala Igbo hapụchakwa mmacha na amachagali ọdụlọkwa izi ihe dube oke dịkwa be ngwele. Even ugbu a na-ekwu okwu local government chairman election, ịmana na more funds ga na-aga na local government. Anyị nwere ike ịpụta tinye aka hụ that na ndị ezigbo mmadụ isi dị mma pụtara as local government chairman. N'anya now na the whole East, amalụ maka onye ọzọ, but just one local government chairman na Anambra, I can't remember his name. I think Agwata local government, if I'm not mistaken. Everybody, mmadụ cha na afọ ihe ọ na-eme, mbọ ọ na-agba. Anyị asị logo bịa lụọla anyị skyscraper within one day. But ka anyị fugodu nnọọ effort onye ahụ na-eme. So I believe that na kunye na onwe otu anyị ga-esi n'ebe anya n'ihe gbasara local government election na-abịa abịa. Ọ bụ na mmadụ abụọ mmadụ atọ ka anyị support ndị isi dị mma ga-alụ nwa ọlụ ọ baala anyị uru. Because na inekwe n'anya nsogbu anyị na-enwekwa na East anyị wụ na ọ na-abụ mmadụ pụta ugbu a now normally man is an economic man or chụwa ego. Onwe otu onye ahụ si nweta ego ọ chọwa power. Uche ego ya at times onye ahụ ekwule ego ya find no way into power. Ma ọ malụ ABCD of leadership. Ntu a Dangote nọ ọ mala achụ ego mana inye ya Nigeria chọọ ya chitanwu. Inye ka onye nwoke nwe Twitter Elon Musk America ya chitanwu. Inye godi ya one state ya chitanwu. Mana abịa n'ihe ihe gbasara economy ịchụ ego ọ mala anya. So na mmadụ bụ philanthropist na mmadụ chụrụ ego kpata ego nọ na-enyelu mmadụ aka emidoro n'inye onye ahụ ọchịchị na ọ ga-achịta nwa ọchịchị. Anyị na-acha azụ na primary school, anyị nwere ndị nkụzi kụziri anyị na primary school. Ha mara anya ya, ha malụ nkụzi ahụ kụzie gị ihe gị ịmụta karịa ha gafelu ha ahụ. Mana at that level all talent ha develop go that skill ọ dụzie inbuilt in them. So ka hapụzi ịbụ onye ọbụla onye mapụta otu ọbụla wawa onye ahụ nweta ego instead of continue na business ya ọ maba ọchịchị ahụ ọ na-amaba n'ime ya ọ mala anyị ya because na ọchịchị dịka bọọlụ a na-agba agba yotago o nwere usoro a ji eme ya wee chia ya adaba logodu mmadụ dịka Peter Obi a lot of people amabụla onye ọrụ mana ifugodu training nwoke gabigego training nwoke pụtara na develop godo onwe ya mmadụ one. So because onega anya fụnọga like ịchị ọchịchị obidogodu na-develop onwe ya ya mere n'oge ọchịchị ọchịchị ịbịagodo na-akọ ihe ọbụla na-akọ ọ magolo how to go about it. So you see that capacity building is very very important n'ala Igbo because ọkwa na ejilo nwayọ at the end of the day anyị nwere ike ịbụzi ndị nọzi obodo ndị ọzọ na-edozi ndị ọzọ obodo ha anyị na-eze na-ebe anyị ahapụ idozi ya. And again ana Igbo tudi ihe ọbụla gọọmenti ikwuru adịghị ajụ ajụjụ. Ebe a m nọ every morning almost all the radio nọ n'obodo a na people na-akpọ a na-ekwu politics, people na-akpọ a na-ekwu maka ọchịchị, ndị mmadụ na-akpọ na complain ihe gọọmenti. Short o nwere oge nọ na capital, o nwere oge local gọọmenti chairman ebe a wepụtara tiketi a ga na-agba ma ego electronics. Ndị be ha ajụ 1000, ndị be ha ajụ reduce to 200, ndị be ha ajụ kwechilu. Mana ọ bụ na Igbo bụ anyị ihe ọ bụ na gọọmenti ikwuru ọ bụkwala iwu nwere na-asị mba nwere na-ajụ ajụjụ. So this ka mkpọtọ ha anyị na-eme ka ọ nwere isi amaghị nwere ndị tụrụ ụjọ akwụsa na ihe ọ bụ na ihe gọọmenti anyị tụgburu onwe anyị n'ụjọ nwere ọzọ onye ọzọ ga-ajụ ajụjụ. And that is where I go back to the organizational ability of IPOB because ọsọsọ ha agaghị agwụ ọpụta ha match ya their feet on the ground ka ekwechilu. And because na ha ekwechilu ifu gọọmenti achọkwa ige ha ntị. Mana before m around ka nkwukwu ọzọ even ihe ahụ mere IPOB ji na-eme oge ahụ maka na ndị ọchịchị be anyị dị aghụghọ. Ha bịa ha na-eri oke ruru anyị ha na-apọịntị aka na Abuja na Abuja bụ nsogbu na-etinye ọkụ n'okpuru na-asụ ụmụazị n'ọkwa Abuja ji anyị na Abuja na-emegbu anyị Abuja na-marginalize anyị. Ọ bụ eziokwu mana obere nke ahụ na-elute anyị aka ka ewele ya mee ihe ekwesịrị ime.
Ndewo Plato Darune. Okwu na-apụta nnọọ from time to time. We need a body. We need to organize. We need to come together. We need to build a voice. We need to be able to have that structure that will give us what we are looking for. We can't just political transformation doesn't happen from thin air. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. Something has to deliver it. That is what we need to do. That's one of the things we need to do. I think we want maybe next time, tomorrow will go, or even in this conversation, I think we might dive into that conversation. How do we do that? But kind of got me for now. That'll win the Plato. Onyeka, Biko, help us understand.
Yeah, before Onyeka come in, let me say something. Chuka.
All right.
Onyeka, sorry. Let me emphasize on what Plato said about local government election. I want to talk about a local government election coming up in Anambra State. It is very important, please. Now that local government autonomy has been granted by the Supreme Court, what it means that it's no longer going to be as business as usual. We have to ensure that all the local governments, in Anambra State, have somebody credible representing their local governments. Someone mentioned the Agwata local. You are talking about Agwata local government chairman, that is Ofobike Chibweze, who has been doing incredibly well. We need to also replicate that across the 20 local governments within the states. So please, if you are from Anambra State or Southeast generally, please be very, very actively involved in ensuring that the right people are elected. Let's not allow governor to populate this seat with their puppets. That's what they usually do. So we have to come out very strongly this time around to make serious impact. Onyeka, you can go ahead.
Before he comes on, Uche, please mention that name again. The local government chairman.
Whose name?
Local government chairman.
Okay, Ofobike Chibeze.
Okay, I wanted you to say it again so people can hear the name the second time. Konyoban, I got check here about him. I phone name because we really criticize. Okay, we hold our people accountable. Let's put it that way. When we see things going wrong, we speak up. When we see things going right, we also speak up in the positive way. We celebrate the people. We support them. In fact, all the possible, we might even have to engage him one day. In his journey before naming, so that we can even see what we can learn from that as in the good governance.
Okay, dalono ndị be anyị kinekwa m unu kunie dalono rinne ka ebe anyị ga-ebido. Okay,
bido ebe ị nọ
gbaalụnụ m mana m na-ekwuka and m ekwu biko nụ nkwuemu ekwutelu n'edi.
Mana ịma na anyị nwere time, so ị ga-ekwe within the time ị nwere.
I know. Now, for those that don't understand our tongue, we must stop talking about Southeast if we are talking about ndị Igbo. I ain't made a mistake, Arina, and don't about Kasiwara. Anishi Pankata Nigerian politics. We can talk about Southeast. Not even we must talk about Southeast. In Nigerian political sense, especially federal elections and things like that. Presidential election, party rotation. But we must talk about Ali Igbo. And Ali Igbo does not start and end in the Southeast. So, because if we look at the topic of the room, Maka Odimandi Igbo, sure. So when we're having this conversation, let's not focus on Southeast as if na Ali Igbo Southeast, okay? Moving on, and there are many initiatives that they on. Developmental impact. And then we're levels of impact. Yeah. If you want to help, if you want to be part of the solutions, it may not be very helpful to overlook people not around you and you're looking for solutions on social media. You can feel free to do that. But if you belong to your age grade, if you belong to your village meeting, if you belong to your town union meetings, I promise you, in these organizations, you will find many beautiful initiatives among Kandeba. And when I am speaking for Igbo. And Igbo, never solely as long as Igbo, and yet the consistent. That is one thing about us. Even your town, game with professional groups. A join the in social media, I show solution. I show the guy here together and get it under you. What have you done with your people? At least they be good. Anyway, now if you have been there, done that at that level, okay, and you're looking for other solutions, it is important to remind all of us, na mmadụ ana efere efe and anyị ana efere efe. Progressive solutions and conversations does not start or when you have remembered it. People have been doing it. People have tried. People are still trying, okay? And people will continue to try. So at that higher level, most people didn't focus over without looking at get the hands so get it under them, okay? Instead of wasting your time in suggesting that very great idea, if you know DJ New, you can start from asking questions. And this is where I will redirect us to Ali Igbo Stabilization Fund that was set up by Ohaneze, adopted by the relevant governors and authorities. Now, the reason India push you look for Ali Igbo is because it is Ali Igbo over Southeast. Ali Igbo, it extends to Ani Igbo Nine. Now, before you dismiss it with a wave of hand, let me remind you, now 50 of our, most of our biggest, highest Imalo CV, successful professionals, people that have reached pinnacles of their career, we are drafted together, 50 of them. To tell you people that we are members of this group, it includes Alex Oti, the present governor of Abia State. Again, any big name of name. So, now they commit, and they did a thorough job. If you're talking developmental and you imagine that you have more or greater solutions to offer than these 50 people working together, coming together. See, I will redirect us to go and have what they have done. Okay? Njenje Media held an interview with the leader of the group, Professor Osito Ubu, former chief economic advisor and a renowned economist. Young Bife head in there. Anyim Pius Anyim serve as the secretary. Anyim Pius Anyim, do I need to tell you how vast ordinary government in terms of knowing, being there? I mean, so as they're having conversation on Kobunaga, again, this is a group. The members, I can give you the names, but okay, 50 of them. Representatives from Ali Igbo, and they made sure that all parts of Igbo land, that we picked the best there, and they did a very good job. So, if we are interested in collective development at that scale, I will seriously direct us to review some of the things that they have done. But at our individual level, because all right, join one meetings in the Bono
Darwin Onyeka, I thank you for this. I remember the last time you spoke about this briefly when we discussed Akurona. You mentioned this, and I went to check it out. I went to watch the video on Njenje Media where he was interviewed. I listened to the whole conversation. It was interesting. Really, there was a lot to glean from that. And one thing was found wanting. The people that commissioned the project didn't ask them to go ahead. So they hit a wall. And ever since, the project has been looking at who commissioned them to tell them to move forward, because they were commissioned by an organization, which is the organization we've been talking about here for the last few hours. The truth is that it's a project. What I understand is that ideas don't run on their own. They need a structure they can be passed through, a funnel that will make it work. Unfortunately, the one that commissioned the project you're talking about owns the project. But we can actually work for them. We can actually help them. They can actually use us. But the point is, like I said before, if you don't have a body, if you don't have a structure, if you don't have some kind of a formation, they will still be at the mercy of Ohaneze and Igbo. It's important that everybody here, not just that particular project, that we go and research all the projects that has been designed for Igbo development and understand them, so that when we decide to build something together, we will understand what we're getting into, and then figure out how to support all these projects, or how to kind of unify them, harmonize them, because we don't have to have too many projects really, but to see how we can harmonize them. But like I said before, until you have something that is impactful, that people can use as a funnel for doing good, what you have and what they have remain in isolation from each other. So, but thank you for that conversation. Thank you for that recommendation. We will look into it. I recommend that particular document for everybody here. If you can share it anyway, if you have access to it, maybe you can share it. But if you can't, if you know Njenje Media, just search Njenje Media on YouTube and search Professor Osita Ogbu on Njenje Media. You will see the interview where he discussed this elaborately, and then you'll understand some things. But that's not the only project, actually. There are many, at least 4. If an ideas, it is the machine that will drive the idea that is the problem. Really. And unfortunately, the people who are at the highest level, the upper echelon of Igbo, seem to be too much more involved in some kind of internal politics that hinders this kind of things. So if I gonna join Igbo, where are they missing it that we can get it right? And then design and build something that will flow fluidly, as in something that will make it possible for anything to pass through it that is good and work out. Just the same way in the obedient way creates a political structure. Yeah, they might say that it's not a structure. It's a structure. It's just that it's not the conventional structure, because anything that people can pass things through or put that where result on the other end, that means there's something working. So can we do it better? That's the question I'm gonna draw. Why it's also good to join all the local organizations and communities or committees and all that. The streets Enugu or Abia or Onitsha, anywhere. Just always be involved in her community. Be community minded, all the important. Man can be village, all the important. But I need something that can speak for Igbo. Not just speak, but work out any plan anywhere. More politics, more social related or economic. I need something like that. When are we going to get into this? We have what it takes. We have more than what it takes. Manakaiga Jimmy. Batanokua. There.
Okay, Daluin. Anọ m na-ege ntị since, so achọrọ m ka mmagodi direction anyị na-aga, before m na-etinye ọnụ n'okwu.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jimmy. Sorry to interrupt you. Eventually, men have been speaking here for the past 1 hour 49 minutes. Oh my God. I chọrọ ụmụ bata n'okwu a. Biko, request the mic so we can bring you in.
Okay.
Achebụ m na asụma afọ ma mara.
Gaa n'iru ka ọka nwaanyị kwuo.
Mba, gaa n'iru, but ụmụ nwaanyị nọ na achebụ m afọ ma mara before.
Yes, I saw her, but
space. Yeah,
she dropped out.
Bring her on.
Because Mara Batako again.
Because, yeah. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah. Okay, Biko, Imana, I want 2 things. This topic, say, redefining politics.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Okay. Ganiru.
So I lego great emphasis on development, which is very important because on have good governance. But now the politics of it, which is another area which we also require, to discuss. Now, Odimma na anyị na-abịa together for development of our Igbo,
talking about the 5 states of Southeast and then other parts of the country, where we have Igbos. So like the other person said, it goes beyond the Southeast. But anyway, the reason why we usually, start this discussion from Southeast, the reason being that I'm where, a place I'm where I make where that ndị nọ ebe ahụ, ndị nọ n'isi ọchịchị bụ, we are sure that onye ọbụla ya nọ n'isi ọchịchị bụ onye Igbo. These are the core. I don't want to use the language you are segregating, but what I mean is states Igbo fully Igbo, like 100% Igbo. Other states, other ethnic groups and Igbos, but I'm just trying to explain that the reason why we usually start on the basis of Southeast, but I get the point that no an Igbo. Then again, the second thing about that now, when we are discussing the politics of an Igbo, please, when you cool that now, I have to go in Nigeria discuss also some Igbo. No, other possible. Naiga Rapunke just happen in Nigeria, discuss in Nigeria. The reason being that it have a stake in the center, and when some of these things you will want to do, and it will just be frustrated because you do not have a stake at the center. So Anma like, because I keep saying it, discussing here, we are in a space, in a country that has other people. So I discuss in that light that now I get a stake. That's why I'm very glad in what P2B did the other time. So even if you have 5 P2Bs in the Southeast, but then when federal government is in a functional ports around Southeast, it will not work. And when federal government is that now the ABA project, which Bat Energy started and completed, will not work. It will not work. Do you understand? So all the matter that now I need play politics of Southeast, I need get quite interested in the politics of the country, and that was what Nnamdi Azikiwe did. That was one of the things he did. Now, what Nnamdi Azikiwe did was that beyond the Igbo State Union, he used that as a platform to galvanize the Easterners, and then after galvanizing the Easterners, he went to have a stake in the center. That's why the first university. Think about it. The first indigenous university, he was the one who built it, and because it was, he had to, take it to the east. He had to take it to the east because no one had the power. That's why it is today named the University of Nigeria, because it was the first indigenous university. It could have been elsewhere. So because he used that platform of Igbo State Union, not only galvanizing the East, but also taking the East to the center to be able to, from the center. So I get interested. We should not lose that stake in the center, in what concerns the center, so that we can also be able to develop, in the Southeast without being hindered. Will you tell me that now today I want a P2B or somebody else, as president, somebody where, somebody, be interested in what is happening, in the East as president, that the issue of port facilities, the issue of, the rail lines, rail systems going to the East, that it will not be taken care of? Do you understand? These are projects, mega projects. I'm not saying that states cannot galvanize and do these things, but you somehow, in certain, ways require the central government to be involved in some of these projects. That's one. Then secondly, Chuka mentioned something which is very, very important about having a group, having a body. And all the man I get discussed here, take that thing very, very seriously. I remember when one guy, Elliot Uko. I don't know where the guy is, and whether you guys know him. I remember those days. Elliot Uko was always, he will always, be the one that would, make the most reasonable. On our own, he was, in charge of. He was. There was this organization called Igbo Youth Congress or something. I think that's what it was called. It is called.
Eastern Mandate. was Eastern Mandate.
Yes, exactly. Eastern Mandate. So he was always, and the Amaromebo Jesse, but he at that point, he was only the only person when you see his his opinions or his views or the views of that organization on issue, he will always articulate very well. Why I'm saying it is that now an organization like one video I was discussing it with you, Chuka, that came up this morning, I think on YouTube, on Instagram or other platforms somebody made, things like that. Some of those inflammatory comments that come from our people, but it's not everything that we go and set a ring light and start saying, because nine and also because nobody. You understand? In the China, where so many investments in Nigeria, they don't say certain things. They don't go and make such inflammatory statements. So I need a body that would organize our ideas, not only organizing the ideas for development, but articulate statements on issues Igbo. So Odimpa, now at this point, now I get look over into setting that organization up. Then it is now for us to determine whether that organization or partly political, which I think it should, partly political, not as apolitical as Ohaneze. And then also about the core of that organization should be developmental. Then, but importantly, articulating ideas. For instance, onwe ife na-eme na Nigeria, anyị nwa apụta, anyị nwa ga-apụta na media, address your press conference, address your media, gwa media na look at the ihe ndị position anyị as ndị Igbo. Of course, we will also ensure that those views align with the views of other Igbo groups like Ohanese and all that. We will, aligning doesn't mean that we will follow them. Aligning means that, we would have discussed with a variety of cross-section of Igbo people before we now articulate a position, and then we push it out there. So these are the things I need. So all the important, all the very urgent, how urgent he had, because area by the next election season or the next in the next few years, development plan and nobody could implement it. Man, a group from that group we can now think documents and also present those documents. How do we now utilize those documents, those ideas, and start the implementation? Who do we go to? Who do we meet? Where do we as a group? Do you understand? A group that will include people from, not just Southeast, but every other place. Then a group that will also include political ideologies, so that we can articulate a vision. Now, let me also mention
Jimmy,
why it's important
to round it up, please.
Okay, can round it up quickly. Can round it up quickly. Yes. All right. Yes. Let me finish quickly. Now, and which worked for us, but I noticed that we have not been doing that as Igbos. Now, the strongest political alliance we have had, check Ekweme, has been with the North. But over the time, because there is nobody articulating our interests as a group, we have, cut off from every other, especially the people who our greatest political allies. I'm not saying that differences, religion and all that, but in terms of political, alliance, in terms of when Nigeria is concerned, it has to do with the North. So we need to revive such, and all groups they like that. Articulate who are we aligning with, who is the best person at each point in time, or the best group at each point in time to align with, and articulate all these group articulate such visions, and then bring them out for our people, and the generality that requires that needs to hear about it. Thank you very much. For now,
Dalu.
you know, all call and no.
Jimmy Dalu.
My
Jimmy
pleasure.
and his passion. Jimmy, my guy.
I like how his heart is in it. You know, when somebody's speaking with his heart, you can tell. It's obvious to you. Amara, are you ready to speak? Okay, from iTalk, we are happy to have you here. Ndewo.
Ndewo n'ụmụnne anụgo m ihe niile ndị kwuru okwu tupu m ekwuchara, and m ga-asị na ihe niile ha kwuru bara uru, ihe niile ha kwuru bara n'okwu, but o nwere ihe m chọrọ itinye wụ everybody here, I believe, they're very much interested in the development of ala Igbo, and more importantly, ọ bụrụ na that development ga-esi n'aka ndị Igbo bịa, even if ọ bụrụ na anyị nwere ndọ yi nwere ike inyere anyị aka, nke ahụ kwa ihe anyị anabata, mana I really do not think na ọ ga-awụzi a case of us depending on the government from this point onwards, for two reasons. Number one, abịa na Nigeria mgbe ụfọdụ ndị Igbo are the least to rely on government. It is good and somehow it is bad, but can we use it to our advantage? And with two things I'm chọrọ ikpo okwu afa here right now. Number one, agriculture. Number two, education. Obuze na efede, anyị nwezi ike tinye aka na business and industries. There are a lot of people here that know people that can set up industries na ala Igbo without necessarily waiting for federal government to do something. Mana ihe a na-achọ bụ state onwe ike support ya. Ọ bụrụ na somebody si na ọ chọrọ imepe something like flour mill, ọ bụrụ na somebody si okay, I think I have the capital to do a business. Ihe nwere ike na-eme na the business abụ ka a na-akọ ihe dịka ji ma ọ bụ ka a na-akọ ihe dịka rice, and then we have enough food in East. I'm very sure that a lot of people can do that, and I'm very sure that a lot of people have the power to do it in such a way that state governments ga-enyere ha aka. Maybe we can start doing something like that. And I hear okwu that electricity bill is this, electricity bill is that. All over the world, people are diversifying when it comes to power generation. We really need to start thinking about that in our Igbo. It's a pity that and there are so many good ideas, and there are so many laws that are being passed that will support development. But if history serves us right, for the bureaucracy na-eme things they take a time. We don't need that right now. Agudi n'obodo. And there's a lot of young people that are ready to work. Obgodi no ihe dịka academy or courses that can brush them up 3 months, 4 months. They can work in those establishments, and I really think we can set something up. Years ago, when some friends, although those friends were from the West, they brought an idea to me and they said that like 10 people should join her together, buy into agriculture. For some reason, I didn't really join them, but me, I had my own personal reasons why I didn't join, because I just did not have somebody gana barama ya na ihe. Ndi mere ya ejigo ya now. Let me use the word like liberate their family. And they all united together and did it as a business. They didn't wait for government. They didn't wait for anybody. They just said, okay, we think we can run a farm. But if we run it on big scale and we have people and they did it and it worked. I've done some research asking questions about alternative power generation. And so many people are using it in Southeast, but only for their own person. We can start doing it in such a way that communities can be running this thing for people. Then I mean, it's a way of, creating jobs. I'm not saying that I don't trust the government or I'm not interested in politics, but please, anything that has to do with development right now, can we take politics away from it? Can we make it so neutral that about tomorrow now actually election, somebody after say, oh, I want to support this party, another person I say, oh, I want to support another party, next thing I say, I am no longer interested. No, if there's no party in it, if there's no politics in it, if we are all just focused on rebuilding our place, if for that I better go dimba politics, I better hear anymore now. How far have we gone with this and that? One thing I want to say is, ọ bụrụ na enwe ndị nọ gị n'akụkụ ị akwụnwe ụgwọ akwụkwọ, kwụọrọ ha ụgwọ akwụkwọ. Enwe ndị nọ gị n'akụkụ ịma na ha dị ike ọrụ, maybe ịhụgo somebody ịbata ụlọ ịhụ ihe nwatakịrị ji aka ya rụọ, isi ọ ga-arụrụ ihe a, gịnwa rụrụ oche a ka onye kụziere gị. You invest in those people. I mean, a lot of people do things for profit, but if we really want to grow, maybe we can start doing things just for the sake of tomorrow, not really for profit. Right now, I'm not speaking to everybody here, but I'm speaking to some people, they know they can actually make a difference, and they know who to contact, and they know who to talk to get the ball rolling. If it's business that you're going to do, invest in Igbo, and go be abo, get started. Obo school get started. Agriculture, you do it. Don't say government to do that, government will not do that. Talking about let me just say the movement we all want to form. If we form a movement that does not answer to any politician, that does not answer to any religion, that does not answer to any identity, the only person we are answering to is the development of our Igbo. You find out that if you do something good and you affiliate yourself with that movement, people will trust it. Even the government will be scared of disturbing it or destroying it. So Bikonu, I like the idea, and let's just put only development in front of us and see how it goes. No matter how small, let's just get started. Thank you very much.
I was just smiling while I listened to you. I'm alright. Oh no, Ojo politics now too. I'm alright.
I'm very, very political. I've been at that one. I can be very, very passionate.
That means okay. I'm inviting you now. I'm inviting you into politics now. There were three sides to development, in my opinion. No, there were three sides to development. There were social development. There were things you need to make profit from, non-profit oriented projects, just just to stimulate some kind of growth and development in the society. Sometimes on about long term, sometimes on about subliminal, subtle work. Sometimes, like if I am about business, about politics, it's just in between the social, right? That is a direction that we can also give attention to. And we're the business side of things, the economic development side of things, and we're small scale, we're medium scale, we're large scale. In case we're scale, you cannot do without the government, right? Some of these projects are design, blueprints in there enough. Many of them you cannot really make them work without some kind of support from the government. Sometimes, no, just make them no block your way. Because ndị a na-esochi ụzọ oge ọbụla ha na-anya fụ na uru adịrọ na, like ọbụna gọvanọ for instance Chimefe na steeti onye anwa ọ na-anya fụ na uru adịrọ for him, o bike jụọ gị what's in it for me. Isi a na-efe abụ ife onye ọbụla nya ọ na-ekwesị weta ego gọọmenti nyekwu na ya sị gị oke nsogbu adịrọ emeka ikpa ya leta ọ rapụ gị jewere onwe ya, because he hasn't seen his own personal benefit from it, right? Because for instance, let me give you an example. When we discussed Akuruo or discussed agro-business here, we had, what's his name? Carlo Aja. We had Onyeka Obiariri, who came here to talk about development. In the course of the conversation, we realized that it always gets to a point where we need government involvement. Just some other kinds of support. Unlikable security, unlikable approvals, unlikable ANA. Something has to come from the government for you to have a large-scale project executed properly in Igbo. And because of that, we cannot ignore politics. Politics is what decides what happens to you, from health to education to economy to security. It affects you every blessed day. What do I get about it? Then face it frontal, deal with it, capture it, change it, decide what happens, determine the future. determine who becomes the leader. And Nkebeziokwu will not be very possible. I don't know what the difficult, or the very possible, or just when we realize that we can actually do this thing when we come together, and we come together with everything we have. If not, these guys will just realize that their time is up.
Yeah. And Chuka, ihe Maraku, and I understand the one perspective only.
Yeah.
No, bido, no matter how small, because if you want to make those big changes, it starts from laying your bed in the morning. But at the same time, they're important because we just cannot undermine the role of government. Here since IGBDO, this show a long time ago, every conversation I went boils back to find that it still circles around the political framework and the role of government in advancing some of these things. Because if we go, go to the economic side, rapport no politics. Even the economic side, government they evolve. And when monetary policy, when fiscal policy, monetary policy, movement and changes in interest rates, go to they see impacting the average business owner. Okay, got your loan. It's your loan. Can you get general bank? It affects you on the interest cost, boils down to your bottom line. So you have to look at it from that perspective. Obrugo fiscal policies, taxes. That's what we're talking about. I got tax, get tax, here your business. How can they make it favorable for you? But at the same time, Amarachi, you're right. We can do both at the same time. But can be good with the small things we can take care of. Support each other. Those are the important things.
Yes, I believe Amara is talking about the low-hanging fruits, and we can actually do it both collectively and individually. Personally, I speak with them, and I realize that people are doing a lot of things individually. When you do the same thing together, it's way more impactful. It's way more effective in changing things because there is power in the collective. There's a lot of power in collective. So we can actually apply Amara's perspective through the Igbo philosophy. It's possible. We have less than 1 hour to go. So I got Boppy also now.
Chuka, we enjoy Jogi Chuka. And I want to ask you this thing because I'm now, it's come up in our conversation a lot. I know structure. You've said it a lot of times here, and even Jimmy Potaku, the same thing. So to me, I may feel I need to develop that structure, or when structure that we actually just need to enhance to change certain things. Because by virtue of Igbo, by virtue of being an Igbo person, all of us, we're already members of Ohaneze. If you look at it from that perspective, because within our own system, I know when small, unions, social clubs, age grade unions, village unions, all of them are centered under town unions. And all of these town unions are centered under Ohaneze. So by virtue, we're all already a member. So or need restructuring how we're already, or need forming a new system. So I think, what do people think? Should we work on what we have? Can I enhance it and make it more functional and much more effective? Or should we just, can I find a new system that actually works for us from a structural perspective?
Okay. To answer the first question, do we have actually many structures? Just like Uche mentioned one blueprint for development. Onyeka mentioned another one. And we're many blueprints for development. Many structures in terms of, you might call it action group, you might call it political group, you might call it sociocultural group. So, and we're different ones, and we're different formations, and we're going the last maybe 5 years. Young Igbos, we can't keep replicating ourselves. So what we should be thinking about now is how to harmonize all those and have one big umbrella that speaks for Igbo actively, and that will be possible when everybody imbibe that attitude, that mindset of collaboration, because I had to go used to that attitude of that is the new attitude that we have imbibed over the few decades now. So I need to drop some of that individualism and begin to realize that I'm is. So how do we bring this together in a way that Nobody's really too powerful, but we are all putting our hands to work as collaborators, putting concerted effort towards Ọganiru Ndị Igbo. So enwere structures. Also, if I qualify, okay, we know what I need, and where the essence, and where the necessity for us to just cool down, no, wise. How do we do this? How do we bring this together? All this, how do we harmonize it? Man, then I want the structure say if I join the one on Kemwa kata ya na baka na baka bo Kemwa ga-emenwu. So mana ebe ọ bụ na akpọrọ meeting anabatakwa ebe a ga ntị wo Kemwa ma ọ. So kedu onye bụ the next person we're engaging now? That is Frederick Boniface. Ganiru, the mic is yours.
Good evening. I like Munkata, but now I was here in the last meeting, economic development and all those things. I listened, the conversation was actually good. Then, this political conversation we are talking about in our Igbo, we're talking about structures and structures and structures. To be honest, we already have structures. In fact, Casey talked about Ohaneze Igbo. Of course, every one of us are members of Ohaneze Igbo. But what percentage of
members?
What percentage of the youth? You are a member of Ohaneze Igbo. You can't say you are not.
I'm not aware. That's what I'm saying. I'm not aware. So maybe I was inducted in my subconscious. I don't know.
By naturality,
by your blood. You're already a member. So the thing is, Ohaneze Igbo is actually the superstructure. That is the superstructure. But we have other structures that are supposed to be inside the Ohaneze Igbo, that their effect that the Ohaneze Igbo as an umbrella is supposed to use as a tool, as a go-getter, but it's not functioning in that direction. My point is, what percentage of the youths are in this Ohaneze Igbo? Or do we have only the elders that are actually called, in quotes, the Ohaneze Igbo, and they take collective decision without minding the youth wing, women wing, and all those things? I have not seen such a thing. We only hear of Ohaneze Igbo, and whenever the faces come up, we see elderly men and elderly men. Is that the only thing that is composed of Ohaneze Igbo? I don't even know. So that is where I want to drive.
I'm not elderly man, so I don't possible I'm not elderly man.
Because one YouTubing of Ohaneze Bikono.
Okay.
YouTubing Bikono.
They have been docile now.
That is certain.
Are you not a youth? Are you not a member of Ohaneze? Why have you not joined them to make it more active? And what you have responsibility? And what ndị edebele edelo afa si na ọha bụ ife ga na lead these things anyị na-ekwu maka ya. Ohaneze is an open organization. Activities if are done in public. Our meeting, it is in public. Nothing prevents you from joining them and identifying, joining the youth wing. Go in there and implement some of these ideas instead of attempting to put down the only organization that is recognized by government. Because unu na ekwu bi n'ofu ọnụ, you have acknowledged the need for government and you are dismissing the only organization recognized by government that you can actually work with.
Okay, Nika, I don't think anybody has dismissed Ohaneze here. Actually, what has been happening is that people are asking questions, and people should be asking questions. Okay. As in Igbo, that's who we are.
Let me give you a little insight as a member of Ohaneze Igbo Youth Wing. So the truth is, Ohaneze Igbo youth wing exists in every local government of Igbo. Many of us don't know because we don't ask questions. We don't even want to know. Some of us are not interested. It is populated by the young people like you and I. I made inquiry. I started making inquiry when I wanted to be part of it. I started making inquiries, and that was 2 years ago. And I discovered that it is actually a very well, strongly rooted organization in every local government. They have chairman of Ohaneze Igbo youth wing in every local government. They also have the general wing in every local government. They also have ad hoc members or what you call secretary in every local government. So if you go to your local government today and start asking questions about the leadership, the Ohaneze Igbo leadership within your local government, you will find somebody somewhere who is actually representing you. He doesn't have to come to the market square and say, "Hey, I'm the chairman," or "I'm the one."
Uche, can I ask you a question?
Everywhere.
Can I ask you a question? Do you belong to Ohaneze Igbo?
I said I'm a member.
Okay.
In fact, I have a position.
Why I asked that question is so I can have the position to ask the real question. What is the plan of Ohaneze Igbo for now, changing the politics in Igbo? What is their plan, and what is Ohaneze doing that we can be part of? Can you help with the plan? Can you help with the vision? And what is action plan?
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm a member of Ohaneze Igbo Youth Wing, and what we do is to consult with young people and relate to the leaders at the top, the Ohaneze, the body, that's the general body. And that is where the major decisions are taken, not us. However, the question you asked is very important, but there are all things in this. There are so many things involved in this. I don't want to delve into that, but what I want to say is that Ohaneze Igbo Youth is something that everyone can be part of. We have been involved in so many local political activities, and there are state branch. Then also there is also a national branch. So the state branch is where you can only wield your power if you are within that space. Then until you get to that level where you now you have a position at top level, that's where you will wield any type of thing at that national level that will affect every other person. So where I have power or I have a say is within the state. And we have been participating if there's any activities and we think that young people or the Igbo youths should be aware of or should be involved. So we get involved and contribute our quota. So, yeah.
I have one more question before I move on to the next question. Because this Ohaneze Igbo take a lot of time. So let's even look into
this. This is the rally point, I think. This is just the rally point.
Hold on, Frederick. The question to you now, but Ohaneze, I asked you a question and you couldn't really. It sounded like you were saying we have to consult. That means there are limitations to what Ohaneze youth can do. So what do you think are the limitations Ohaneze youth, the youth wing, are experiencing, and what are the designations, what are the responsibilities that are handed over to them? What is their duty, really? And how does that play into what we're doing now?
So just like the leadership in Nigeria and every other region or states, the limitation I discovered within Ohaneze is the kind of people who are actually interested in things, the projects of Ohaneze, especially from the youth level. In the Southeast, for example, if you look at the Southeast generally, you see that not all the states have active youth participation outside the Anambra State. I mean, it's only Anambra State that you go to see active youth participation at that level, at that local government level. What about other states? So number one is interest. There is zero interest. Is one of the major problems. There is little interest or zero interest, probably because of the incentives are not really there. Then the second one is it lacks the proper funding, right? It is always funded by the political leaders, and these are the people that dictate who becomes who. What you say also, very important. You can't just say things that is outside or not in line with the person that is funding you, right? So that is why it is quite difficult for them to be independent or to be able to make categorical statements against anything, right? So funding is a problem. The Igbo people have not taken the project, the Ohaneze and Igbo project, as their property. It is still heavily funded by the politicians. So politicians, to a large extent, dictate what happens. So funding is a problem, and interest is also a problem. So these two critical things are the things that are militating against the advancement of the
Chuka,
Okay. Yeah.
Can I use 2 minutes? I just want to state my observation. More and more, every other person observed the same thing too. I feel, especially based on answers Uche presented forward, I feel there were obvious disconnect between the organization itself, Ohaneze, and the people. Although just on the youth wing, I actually feel it's the same on the not youth wing. For example, we can use the youth wing as a perfect example. In our system, what's the easiest way to attract people to gain interest? Social media can be one of that aspect. I don't think they have a social media account. I don't think they are active on any social media. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure not Twitter handle it at all. A good way to be in a good account, you can easily gain followers, just the same way my account here for the show we're pushing forward. People can follow, you can build political interest from there, socio-economic interest from there. People can subscribe to that account, then use that as a medium, you pass your message across, whether more meeting or gathering or whatever it is. And then as it becomes stronger and stronger, from there you can use that to disseminate information issue. And I think personally that we can do it. Again, I have a part of that thing in Nepu. I'm sure I need anything else. We already have something, it's just not working, or not functional enough. The conversation suppose even how can we make it work more efficiently as opposed to finding ways to create something new. So that's just my 2 cents.
Okay. Well,
just come see for something because
we have 30 minutes to go. Whatever you want to say now, can you give 1 minute so that we can move to the other people that have not spoken then and around? Can you?
Yeah, it is just to add. Now, from experience, I know maybe Ohaneze announcements na town union groups. So maybe if you are a member of a town union group na WhatsApp, mobile, Telegram, okay, one of the announcements maybe has to do with Ohaneze, maybe the youth wing in that area, in that community. So again, my point, Buna, these things are all connected. You must associate with your brothers and sisters. Join them, then you would be getting all this info.
All right. Can I give my opinion about what I have heard? One, Buna, I got cause problem, but it sounds to me, about Ohaneze, I'm asking questions, I'm getting some answers. It sounds to me like what I hear sometimes when I'm asking about Labour Party. Like, it sounds to me like something that wasn't designed in the way that people can easily and happily and trustingly jump into it. It sounds to me like something that is more political, as in political in the sense of what people gain from being there than what it is doing for Igbo. Because you mentioned funding. Igbo na chebe ha ga-etinye ego. As in, Igbos are looking for, see, ebe marketer, open snatch project. Now you got never get a number snatch with egos. As long as half fully hit your ime, ndị Igbo na-achọ ebe ha ga-etinye ego. That is the truth. So if funding is a problem, that means the structure itself has a problem. Second thing, interests. It's the same thing. You have to attract people. You have to do things that attract people. So if maybe there's a need to look inwards. Kedu ha na-eme in this organization that is making it unattractive? And kedu ha na-eme in this organization that makes people not trusting enough to bring their money? Because as long as an organization that is supposed to checkmate ndị Igbo in leadership depends on the people that are in leadership positions to run. And what not possible? What they can INEC now? That means they are funding what is supposed to checkmate and hold them accountable. I mean, we all know that that's not going to produce anything. So maybe that's the reason why it's not producing. So Ohaneze needs to be looked into by our chair. If I know my name, just like what we're saying here, if I know my name, is it really taking us to where we want to go? If not, what do we have? What are the elements we have in this structure that are standing in the way that we can remove? And what can we introduce? If that is not done at the top level, because what I'm hearing is that the youth level cannot even do certain things without the approval of the top level. So if that is not done at the top level, the youths and the youth wing is handicapped. That's what I'm hearing from what I'm hearing here. So I would like to be part of this, but I would like to ask more questions. I would like us to ask questions. If you want, you can even bring the leaders of Ohaneze youth to this team, to this group, to this meeting, to this show. Let's talk. Let's have conversations.
We need a space. I need to create a space.
Ghana meeting the village, Ghana meeting nearby, Ghana meeting nearby. That is just one way of doing things. That's not the only way of doing things. You have to open up. You have to come out. You have to go to where the young people are. You to join or something. Meet here where they are. Exactly. You don't wait for them to come to you. No, you are the one that needs the people. So when you are saying that to me, it sounds like you think I need you, and you want to gain something from me coming to you. So you want me to come to you, and you're not showing me why I should come to you. Like Obuna Uche Gwalon said, ne projects I na emeketa. Ne projects ndị Ohaneze ndị Igbo Anambra State megolo last year. Ne nke ha na-eme now. Ne nke ndị nke Imo na-eme. Ne nke ndị nke Abia na-eme. Na efefe achọrọ ije. This is what they want to do to make sure that governor ga-apụta na Anambra State ga-abụ a credible governor. I mean, I will jump into it immediately. Abụ m onye Anambra State. I want progress. So we need to ask ourselves those questions within those bodies. Maybe one day we will dedicate a show to
organizations. We need a space for it.
Organizations. Let's talk. This is what this conversation is about. Let's talk. Let's have that open conversation. Anyway,
I can get the youth national president leader to come on the space to speak to
that would be awesome.
So we can have
that would be awesome. That would be awesome. The person
yeah.
The more the merrier. The more the merrier. Let's have this conversation. It's been a long time overdue. All right. Nilo one them. Oh no again.
Yeah, so Ndibai Kenemu, hello, Chuka, Casey.
There, we want them.
It's been a while, but Timalugo can't see explain. I know summer here, so I know outside. So Vico, you guys have to bear with me for now. So Casey.
I'm a mean when outside. You know, you got better no. Welcome.
Casey.
I know.
It's like better no.
Before winter.
Yeah, winter, welcome, my sister.
Quite side, yeah. So anyway, anime get quite fair if only they could see it, and Ezeokobuna. At the end of the day, you know, like even Dika Ohaneza, you know, what the Kwamaka Uche Sibia, you know, Korai Basaria, because I feel like a lot of people are interested in joining all these things. And Ezeokubuna, most young people cannot even effect cannot make much difference now this organization because I had already plenty. I populate the place. So because I believe that, I bind there in our numbers, then we can do something. Again, all the very easy to just sit back and talk is action where the problem no. Even somebody on 1 year before quote something about, Ibanye, Kehana, where all these village meetings and all of that. A lot of us sometimes I know at these organizations, but I do involved, I do active, and then make me with regard to like Dim just decided, to sort of get involved in, the village meetings and all those things, and it's been an eye opener because of the fact that a lot of people are involved, or a particular set of people konoko everything, or how na one village or one family they decide who does everything, or their daughter gabu the market women leader, their brother gabu the leader, president of this, because a lot of people are involved. And whether you like it or not, all these things, they decide a lot who becomes who comes out for what. So Orugo time, a lot of us are pussy, just you're doing nothing. You are not involved in your village meetings. You are involved in your wherever you are, anywhere, association. Get involved. Find the one known at your village. Get involved, because it is only Ogai Banye these places with our numbers, especially people when genuine intentions, because the truth of the matter, Buna, if any men are all these organizations, Buna, a lot of the crooks, they get their members, they get them involved, and Hano in majority. So every time there's a decision making, there's something to be done, because not how and when a lot of their members and a lot of people question the active or active, they will come, and when 18 year up for voting, their members go vote. They will always vote wrong, vote for selfish interest. They got very surprised. There might be a voting maybe to do something that will favor the community, but because the people not in charge, or how and what are the people none of those organizations, they will vote against the interests of the community. But because it's not involved, you are maybe trade going and everything, you are not involved. Things are not moving in the community, all because it's not involved. So it's just like somebody suggested earlier, you gotta show your community, because every Igbo community anywhere that meeting you get join not happy, so that you get video, when there's voting, when there's anything, when they have to contribute for anything, it's near your mouth where your money is, and you will begin to see. You will have to fight because a man is easy, because go what they say about the people who are privileged, they will never give it up without a fight. You will have to fight, but you will also see people that are there for good, and especially if we are there in our numbers, we can make that change. The reason a lot of things are not working in Igbo because I are involved. A lot of us, I got everybody on different places. There's nothing wrong with going outside to go and look for money, trade, and everything, but okay, for your place, your community, you just have to get involved. So again, I always say something about Oroge register for was it for PVCs and all those things. As much as you can, because if you can, go and register to vote in your community, in your village. Go and register to vote, because those guys the people that you will be amazed the kind of politics that goes down there. You get to where if there, but it is do or die, and it's do or die because a lot of people are not involved. You got just this presidential election where Peter Obi put out, And a lot of people went back to their villages to vote, even the people that are not even registered to vote. But during Oge election, they went back. If you see what they fought, do you think that Peter Obi winning Alibo was just beans? It wasn't. People are back to their villages, and the governors, the politicians, they came with thugs, they came with everything. But because guys no ground, they fought them. Exactly, they fought them, they resisted them, they made sure that the votes counted. So not just this mentality or this activism call Harry stop just now because Peter Obi absorbed presidency. Take it down to even local government chairman. Get involved. Imagine that person who feel that this person is decent, this person can do good. Come gather people together, push that person forward, and then those local government election, wherever you are, take a bus down to your village, take a flight down to your village, whichever one you can do. Because again, that community, that meeting, then you can, mobilize yourself and go down, and you will fight these guys. Because at the end of the day, how many are they? How many people kafage buni? They can't kill everybody. But the only reason why, somebody said there's no rule of law in Alibo. The reason why all the like that was because we are not involved. But if we're involved, we can make changes. So this is just where I wanted to come in today. Thank you, Chuka.
The one them. All the casif name will state capture na Igbo, even in the village.
All the like that, Chuka, because I had the wrong interested.
Ogo very, very diversified. Ogo and all levels. In a federal level, in a state level, in a local level, in a village level. Well, we are up to the task. Follow Madi boy, but okay, Madi talk. Mam kagesime. So you're gonna get very quick and precise with your answers or with your submission. Amorum can get farm and elo time after in between, but Franklin one them Nganoganiru.
I'm a man of Fakamu.
I'm a fuck. I can go in there and work here. Go around this up. So Franklin, because we're 3 minutes or 4.
Okay.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for this meeting. I didn't know something like this exists, and I just stumbled into it and I decided to join. Yeah, I love your submissions, and I believe that I just want to ask a question. Now, we're talking about the Igbo land. I love what one of you, I think it's particularly you that just spoke just now. You talk about politics, how politics can influence the development of our communities, of businesses we want to do, of how we impact people and all of that. Yeah, what came to my mind was that how will a fish that is in the ocean will say it's not going to touch water? Or how will a fish in the water said tell you that, oh, I will swim without swimming in the water, or I will swim without the water? So it will practically not really be effective if we don't solve the problem. Now, some of us are in the diaspora, and you see what the level of development. It is not individual. Of course, individual push policies that cost whatever happens in wherever you are right now. Now, I think it is a major thing we can learn from these people and start implementing it in whatever we are. Now, if people are stronger than the institution, it will really not work. And whatever we are planning or anybody is planning to do will not succeed, because that is one big man that will come tomorrow and say, oh, whatever you are doing is passing through the channel because of bias, and they will come and destroy what you have. And that brings whatever investment that you have put in there many years down the drain. So my own submission here is that we should all strive to get involved in the politics. And that is why things are not working in our country, because we have more bad people in politics than the good ones. So the good one cannot even do anything because they want to keep their jobs. Anybody that go there, you see, is good, and people will see, this person, we voted for this person. This person is good. But we went there and he joined them because he can't do anything. He's alone, or there are 2 or 3 where you have 109 member that are bad. So what will the person do? The person cannot do anything. So it is all on us now to get involved. Like somebody has submitted already. Let's get involved wherever you are. Get involved. Even where you are in the diaspora, get involved wherever you are. Get involved in this politics. Politics shapes lives, shapes communities, shapes. One of my friends said something when we were still undergrad. He said doctors can only treat one person, but a politician will make a policy that will either bring down a nation or make a nation. So policies are very dangerous, and we must be careful and get involved so that we can shape our generation policies. I don't want to take our time, so I'll just leave that for now. Thank you very much for the mic.
Thank you very much, my brother. Okugidi, very brief, which is very, very helpful for you find them now, because in the Madirika.
But I think I know a lot of people more opportunities to speak. So I like him, okay? Straight to the point. So on your next, let's just hit the nail on the head and attack the point. Yeah, more people opportunities before we round up.
Obi Ganiru.
All right, Ndewo. All right, so I'm listening to a number of person, and I'm happy I met a member of Ohaneze Igbo on this space, because I have there's this group we're working on. It's our brothers from Anioma, Redefining Igbos, and South East, right? So we've been having some dialogues, and we found out that we still need Ohaneze Igbo. And so what I believe, right, because I heard what Anambra person said, I believe the Ohaneze Igbo needs reforms, because I don't think it's not a good idea when a politician is sponsoring our social cultural group. It's really not a good thing. And now I also believe that Ohaneze Igbo can work with the Voice of the East. Now that can be our media arm, right? The guy Gaius Chibueze. So you can work with the Voice of the East, because during the Igbo State Union, which I talked about in 2 previous spaces, I think that was 2 weeks ago, I said how the social group was sponsoring students' education, doing basic things like water, libraries, building schools for the communities. So I believe the Ohaneze Igbo can do that. We have youth diaspora, we can get everyone involved. And I would like to message Anambra first to also get some messages from him, and there are some things I would like to share with him also. So Kuni TV Media, sorry, I love what you're doing, and I'm always setting your spaces on reminder. And yeah, we will be great. We are a great people, and nobody can bring us down. So I believe Ohaneze Igbo should come first before any political party. We should have a very strong, powerful social cultural group that is stronger than any political party. Yeah, thank you guys.
Darling, Obi, outside politics now. Biko, do you speak any Anioma dialect very well?
No, but I have them in our group that they speak.
I just wanted to have you tell me how you say Ndewo in your dialect. That's all. If you know. If you don't, it's okay.
Ndewo is already now.
Yeah, how do you say it in Anioma dialect? If you don't know, it's okay.
We're also working on this dialects. This we just talked about. We're going to post it on, the dialectal differences and similarities. We're also working on it.
I love listening to people from Anioma and the dialect. It's on our social, but I want to find you in the beginning. So I don't want to leave Anioma out of that greeting, because I actually include Onyo Obuna in the way we greet when we're starting the show. That's just the reason why I asked that question. Maybe I can reach out to you in the back channel or you can help me get that information. Dalowine, Henry Ozo, are you ready to speak? Okay, Ganiru.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Biko bubi 4 minutes.
Yes. Simple is that now. Ihe anu anyị na-pursue I can follow you in multiple phases. I had discussed go political, whether more dimpa, more the humper. Now, so not mainly economical that we'll face. Now, we need both political, economical, and socially Egypt pursue interest in the Igbo. Because this is the right time to push things, as we already know. Now, if we look at it politically, in Naya now, they just set up this Southeast Development Commission. Immediately that thing was approved. What hit me was, I hope this won't go the way of NDDC. Because if I look at how they are handling Northeast Development Commission and a contract and they may execute projects within the Northeast, we can't push that away. We have to work with all state governments jointly with this newly set up Development Commission so that we point projects. That drives me to now the economical. Now, Southeast need accelerated development. We have to link up Southeast, both land, air, and sea. Any dredge waterways. Any link roads through this country out to internationally. And then in the air too, we have some airports lying fallow. You understand? When you work with the government, you can say, okay, Abakaliki, this airport has been lying idle. Can we turn it to cargo airport? The one in Anambra, what do we do with it? You understand? Probably Asaba. That way, you sweat your assets and get the best out of it. And then socially, we just mentioned Ohaneze. There are other groups. I remember within that COVID period, only one other group that I think Professor Osito Obu of UNN was also the leaders in that. They were trying to raise funds for development. There are so many organizations like that. And then outside the country, we are all over the places. So there is a need that all these organizations, we have to reach out to them, bring everybody together, because that's the challenge now. Multiple, fronts, but bringing all those fronts together to form a unit to be able to attack things frontally will just help out. It's a lot of work to be done. Every one of us knows that. But the thing is that, are we prepared to do it? It's important we are prepared to do it. It will take a whole lot of conversation, discussions, frontal, backward, people seeking interest, thinking that maybe this organization is about coming in to gain something. But when they discover it's not like that, they want to scatter everything. Everybody has to be strong and know that this is the time to do this. We've been talking about Ohaneze when I was still in the secondary school. Now I'm 50. We are still talking about Ohaneze. No direction. You understand? We can just have our ideas of what happened in the past, but we are interested in our future. Let me drop it here. Thank you.
That was very succinct and very, very, very precise. Thank you very much. Ọ dị gokwa obvious na okwu anyị na-afe ya how is it how to kpokọtazie ife ndị a niile ọnụ mana ka anyị gaa n'iru. Yes, nze Sam, ngwa nwanne m kekime.
Ọ dị mma, ekenekwa m unu.
Biko welu 2 minutes. Oh.
Okay, thank you. Mụnwa na onwe m ka a ghara ebe ọrụ 2 minutes ka m nwee. Mụnwa suggestion mụnwa nwee n'okwu a na-ekwu bụ o ya esi ike discuss politics na Igbo, modern politics. Ghara ikwu discuss the impact of unknown government. Because ọ bụrụ na anyị gwa onwe anyị eziokwu, anyị ma na ndị a nwere role ha na-play na modern politics. Election lube at any state ọbụla a na-enwe unknown government. Ọ na-reduce voting strength. Ọ na-emekwa result change. Ọ na-emekwa ndị supposedly ikwu ekwu ama nkwụnwụzi okwu. Ọ na-emekwa onye ama win election win. Ọ na-emekwa low voting turnout. The impact of unknown government is so enormous. And history have taught us that anything a politician try na Nigeria or work, anything Nigerians politicians try, whenever the thing work, they stand by it. They don't change it. So if unknown government have proven to be a result-oriented for modern politicians in Igbo, it will not go away anytime soon. It's a big elephant in the room. Until we start creating a space to discuss who are the beneficiaries of the word unknown government. Can they benefit from that word unknown government? Who are the people winning election today with the word unknown government? There is a very big elephant in the room.
Okay.
So let me just leave it at that. It's a very big
All right.
topic, so it's not something I break it down today. Thank you.
All right. In Kevin's Yokubuna, I discussed I touched security a little bit 2 weeks ago. I get discuss another side of it very soon. Electoral violence or election violence. I get discuss it. Because everything will be a problem with solution. Man, like I always insist, when people come together, there is nothing that is insurmountable. If I do not bank since I see back together, I know how to come together, how to build together, how to form something formidable. Because my non-government
We can just drop. When you can just drop or something. Let me suggest something.
If we go, we have 3 minutes to go. We have 3 minutes to go, please. We have 3 minutes to go.
Don't wait, just 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. Actually, Biko, for the YouTube and the youth Igbo, can I create an organization also, a radical organization? Because our Igbo is equivalent to Afani Ferre with Northern Elders Forum. The decision makers when at this forum, 70 years, 80 years and above. If we have to be very fast in our decision, I need to create. I'm going to register. Yeah, we can start it somehow. I will gain limelight. Other region can start their own. So let me just hold it there.
Okay, your point is valid. Actually, your point is valid. I get nesi fani nanya. Malok I see all the possible. I get one if I work. You know, in alignment. All the possible. I am human beings in my ife. It's possible. Man, I conclude though with the last person here, Mike. Okay, Plato, please, if you haven't spoken and we didn't give you the mic because when you were by a line, Madokali in our request the mic, and we can't give to everybody because we're looking at our time. You know, that's why I generally find and about twice a year. This is actually a conversation that is ongoing. It happens every Saturday by 8 p.m. I achieve me at 3 hours. And next week's conversation is like a continuation of this one. 1 week, a different topic, but FIFA kind of on our progress. Okay.
Let me be fast. Let me say that evolution is permanent. The healthiest will continue to live, and the strongest will continue to survive. And every organization that does not, improve, will be left behind. Let me say that Ndi Igbo, when we say that we need great men, good governors in the southeast, that is more important to us. It does not mean that we don't want central. If you have a good father will be able to relate with your village head. If you have a good village head, that village head will be able to relate with the Igwe, and it goes like that. Zeke did a good politics. And if you look at us, we supported Yaradua very well. In 2019, we voted for Atiku. So we have always had alliance. No alliance is permanent like rock. It varies as time changes. But when we have good governors in the East, they were able to mobilize the entire East, and relate with the power at the center. Peter Obi was in a minority party, but he worked well with whoever was the president of Nigeria at a given time. That is a part. Now, talking about, let me also say that I agree. I think it was Uche, when Uche spoke, that we should have a day that we should look at all these developmental agencies, organizations in the East, so that we can look at them. Maybe all of us should start to search them and read about them, so that any day that Kunye chooses for us to discuss about it, we'll have valid points to discuss about it. Now, about Ohaneze, I'm a member of Ohaneze in Akwa Ibom. We have every local government have a chairman, we have a state chairman who is highly civilized, has been mobilizing people. I didn't know that we had a state chairman until he saw me. After a long conversation, the things I told him, so no, I should be a part, he added me. So I believe that Ohaneze should continue to reach out, to reform and reach out, preach it like the pastors preach gospel, so that people will be part of it. Now, I'm from Nsukka Town. I'm a member of the Nsukka Town youths. We have a WhatsApp group. Nobody have ever mentioned anything on Ohaneze in that group before. So I'm not doubting the person that said that they always announce it in the town union and so on and so forth, but maybe it's not in all the town union. So again, reform and development. Political participation is paramount. We can never run away from it. He that controls the political power controls every other power within the state, even the spiritual power, because you see, even the imams and the bishops and traditional rulers, all of them are heading to the president. Let me also say something, Kunye. If there's any place that there is state capture, it is in the East. Our state governors have captured all the states, wherever they are governing, they captured it to the extent that nothing crows outside their power. But again, as we continue to have conversation, continue to mobilize ourselves, I think we'll be able to achieve something better. We achieved a lot in 2023, and when we can double our effort and achieve the other things. When any day you choose this, we can have conversation around those developmental organizations. Let me also say that the Southeast Development Commission have been signed. I hope and I pray that they will talk about it. Once they start funding it, they should choose one project to do, and they should not do another project until they finish that one project. No multiple projects and no long bureaucracy.
This brings us to the end of this conversation. It has been a very, very exciting, insightful, and educative conversation with you all. I didn't know we would do it like this. I didn't even see this coming, and it really came out very good. And a lot of conversations are coming out of this. If I got back, and we're like 4 topics now. So we will have a meeting within our group and decide whether we should talk about these organizations and how what needs to be done about that, maybe, or something else. But then we're more things coming that will extract from these conversation. Because if you wouldn't mind, share this conversation, share this space with people who didn't attend, people who didn't have the chance because of the timing. Kafa Geya at their own time. It is recorded. We also have it on YouTube. We also have it on Facebook. You can also share those ones for those who are not on Twitter, so they can also listen and hear what we're talking about, and maybe one day join us. For those who shared while we were talking, thank you so much. Those who shared this space, even in the build-up, thank you very much for your support. And those who brought very, very good comments and very good submissions to this conversation to enrich it. And also those who are working behind the scene to help us with the technicalities around this. And to my co-hosts, Casey and Uche Okoye. Till we meet again next Saturday, same time, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. like we have done today. It's been the MONI Show, Makodim Mandibo, where we have conversations about Ogadirun Dibo and find solutions that we can apply to get what we are looking for as Ndibo.
It's the MONI Show.
Makodim Mandibo.